Championship in the Winston Western 500. It's 500 kilometers, some 311 miles to be run on this 2.6-mile, 9-turn road course. I'm delighted to have with me the three-time national champion, the winner of the Daytona 500 this year, the great Cale Yarborough. Cale, rain has delayed this event by almost an hour. They're going to start the cars, as we understand, run them under a yellow flag to continue to dry out the track. But the seriousness of this race and the start, it couldn't be graver now for these competitors with the tremendous speeds they hit here and these water hazards on every turn.
Well, it's really going to be tough, Ken. You know, a road course, you're bound to get off of it every now and then, and it's awful wet off the course, so it's going to be a muddy day, I'm afraid. It's windy and cold and wet, and it's going to be a miserable day for racing.
Well, the wicked witch of the west that blew this rain in had a change of character. Now there's a 25-mile-an-hour breeze that is starching out the flags and making us just about race ready for this $275,000 last race in the $10 million series. At our ST Pit Center today, let's go to Dave Despain.
We're going to be covering the action along Pit Road and also here in the Pit Communication Center. And let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing here. On this board, the top 10 qualified drivers in the race. Down here we'll be adding a couple of wild cards, the drivers who come up through the field, who become factors. We'll certainly talk a good bit about Tim Richmond, who has one of the fastest cars in this field, but is starting well back in the field, and we'll be explaining that to you. We'll keep track of the laps as they pass here. We'll run you down on what this course is all about. This is the only road course on which these cars race. It's a very difficult mechanical task that the drivers and the crews face here. As that story unfolds, as mechanical attrition plays its part in the decision of the championship and the decision of this race, we'll bring you up to date on those stories from here in the pit center. We also have, working with us along pit road, 2 pit reporters. Let's go now to the first of those reporters, Jim Roller, for a report on what's happening on the track.
Bobby Allison has been chasing the Grand National title for 23 years. Bobby, the light at the end of the tunnel has never been brighter than it is today for you. What's going through your mind? Are you thinking about the championship?
Yeah, Gary, I got a copy on you. That radio's working okay.
Best of luck to you, Bobby. Back up to you, Ken Squire.
Set and getting ready for the start of the Winston Western 500 here today. Today, Bobby Allison completes his 20th attempt to win the Grand National Stock Car Championship in the Winston Cup. He has never succeeded at doing that for the last 2 years. The younger man, the outspoken Darrell Waltrip, has outrun Allison for the title in this, the last event of the year. The question today is, will Waltrip do it again? And you'll know the answer on Superstation WTBS with our live flag-to-flag coverage. Consider this, Cale Yarborough. It sounds so easy. Allison has to finish 13th or better, and he's won the championship as we watch Darrell Waltrip, the pole sitter, rolling out. He only has to finish 13th or better, and the last 3 times Bobby Allison has been at the Riverside International Raceway, he has finished 22nd, 16th, and 27th.
Well, it's not easy to finish 13th on a place like Riverside, Ken. This is a tough racetrack to run. Not only can you get in trouble yourself, but other cars can have problems and spin out in front of you, and just all kind of different things can happen here. So Bobby has really got to drive a smart race today if he's going to win this championship today.
Live flag-to-flag coverage on Superstation WTBS. The shootout to decide the Winston Cup for 1983, and there you see the front row. Car number 11, Waltrip, the defending champion, trails by 64 points going into this race. There's only one thing he can do today, Cale, and that's go for it.
That's the only thing he can do, Ken. He has nothing to lose. He's got to lead every lap he can possibly lead to get those 5 points. He's got to win the race if he can possibly win it and hope something happens to Bobby. I've been here, Ken. I've been in both spots. I know there's pressure on Darrell, there's pressure on Bobby, and it's both of them have got their work cut out for them today.
Darrell Waltrip is attempting to do what only one other man in history has ever done, win the Winston Cup 3 successive years. That man, Cale Yarborough. And it is a lot of pressure, and it brought you to the point, Cale, where you elected not to run as many races, hence you are not here today on the track.
Well, it sure did, Ken. You know, we ran for the championship for year after year after year, and I won 3 in a row, and the pressure of this championship. I know what each one of these guys are going through there. You can say there's not much pressure, but the pressure has been on them all year long to win this championship. So it's not very easy. I know what both of them are going through.
NASCAR and track people here have done a remarkable job of getting this track back in condition for this race today. And we have the report now from NASCAR that within a couple of laps, they will know if they're going to turn them loose. The track has dried out well. Here you see the starting front row. Ricky Rudd, who won here in June in the Budweiser race, starts on the outside of the front row. Waltrip, of course, is on the pole, and he must make up 64 points. As we look at the rest of the starting grid, Terry Labonte, who crashed here so savagely a year ago in this race. There's Allison. And remember, at the start, Bobby Allison is well back. Not that far back, but 6. And nobody has ever come from further back than 8 to win this event. As we continue down through Herschel McGriff, who won the Grand American race yesterday on this track in the Warner Hodgson 300. There's Bill Schmidt, twice Western champion. And Tommy Gale is back today. We thought he was going to retire at Atlanta. He came back for one more time out here on this road course. They're now in turn 9, one of the most critical turns anywhere in American motorsport. And here they are coming right by our vantage point where Cale Yarborough and yours truly, Ken Squire, are located at the start-finish line. And you can still see the watermarks on the speedway as number 55, Benny Parsons, is pulling on pit road. Now, these are caution laps that are being run off. There you see the second row. Joe Ruttman, who placed second here a couple of years back, and Terry Labonte, who had just an awful crash in turn 9 1 year ago, slammed head-on into the wall, broke his leg, thought a bit about retirement, but he says not that much, and came back. Incidentally, news story here, Cale Yarborough, who you'll recall at Atlanta drove hurt, as we saw on Superstation WTBS, and did that incredible job in the Hardee's car. We understand you're headed for the hospital. That leg has not come around, Cale.
Well, Ken, it's not coming around like I would like for it to. So, you know, in the very near future, I'm going to have something done about it if it doesn't start healing up very shortly. But it's still giving me a lot of trouble.
Well, I'm sure all your supporters across the country will be sending some mail to Timminsville if you decide to go back in the crash house for a while. Car number 11, Waltrip, the pressure really on today. Now, he's led the last 2 years coming in here, but he's a fighter. And he is up on the point. He established a new record in qualifying at 116.782 miles per hour, a new record for this 2.6-mile course. Again, here's Dave Despain.
The Winston Cup Championship is decided on the only road race course these cars contest. They are stock cars. They are oval track racers 28 times a year. Twice a year they come to Riverside and do battle on a 2.6-mile twisting course that is an absolute torture test for car and driver. Let's take a look at how it works. Start-finish line here. That's where they'll take the green flag. We don't know at this moment when they will take the green flag. They move from there down into this difficult area called the S's. This is alien territory for stock cars. It's a succession of left and right-hand turns, and they just don't turn that way anywhere but here at Riverside. You're going to see a lot of people try to make a straight line out of this. You'll see a lot of people running in the mud on this part of the racetrack. They are trying to get successfully to the entrance to turn 6. Again, a right-hand turn, a hard, tight right, and it's another difficult stock car maneuver. Moreover, this is a dangerous place. It was the last corner in the life of the great Joe Weatherly, who was killed here in 1964. From turn 6, a short sprint up this straightaway to turn 8. Again, very difficult. In fact, the toughest turn on the track. This is a courage corner. It is banked the wrong direction. That means that the car is thrown out of kilter 119 times every lap around turn 8. The guy who can hammer the throttle right here gets the momentum for the long run down this backstretch. That's a 170-mile-an-hour stretch, and if you've got a car length advantage here, you can stretch that because you've got that momentum to 8, perhaps 10 car lengths as you come down to here. Turn 9, the hardest braking point on the racetrack, from 170 miles an hour down to about 100 miles an hour to negotiate this area. The car groans and shudders and complains, and if you miss the mark by just a little bit, you're going to go hard into the retaining wall. It was here last year that Terry Labonte suffered the worst crash of his career just 1 year ago today. Around turn 9 to start finish, our STP Pit Communications Center is located right here on this side of the track, high above Riverside International Raceway, anchor booth, and our post today for our Ken Squire and Cale Yarborough.
The word is that in 2 laps, they will turn them loose, that in 2 laps, the Winston Western 500 will see a green flag, and we will be underway in the deciding race in this $10 million tour. There you see Ricky Rudd pull up alongside, out of turn 6, headed down toward turn 8. 2 of the cars in this race have onboard live cameras to give you the grip and the feel, and you're riding with a man who is going to start well back, and what a ride he's going to give you. This is Tim Richmond's car, number 26. Richmond starting out back. He'll have to fight his way up through the field. Richmond had qualified second fastest, but he blew his engine on the first day, had problems with the car. And so now Richmond is relegated because he did not make the first day qualifying to the 26th starting position. And what a charge he's going to be making. The other camera live on board will be with car number 33, the Skoal Bandit. Harry Gant will be at the controls of that car. Harry Gant has qualified well. He is in that 7th starting position in the Skoal Bandit for today's race. Now they're on that long back straightaway. It seems ageless and endless as you're running. But when you're under full speed, that thing goes by in just a matter of seconds. And then you're into turn number 9. We'll be back for the start of the Winston Western 500 in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The race to decide the championship for 1983 live on Superstation WTBS. 42 starters are lined up. $275,000 at stake as prestigious race to win and the national title here as well. Ricky Rudd in the number 3, the Piedmont Airlines car on the inside. And there is Darrell Waltrip sitting on the pole. Has to win, must win situation for the defending champion of NASCAR. Here they are into that sweeper. A savage, nasty turn. Was here just a few months back that Rolf Stallman lost his life in a Porsche car. Here they are out of turn number 9, coming down for the green. 9 coming down for the green flag. Harold Kinder has it in hand. And now Jerry Long of R.J. Reynolds drops the green flag, and we are underway. On the break, Brutman in a 3rd. Brutman loves this track. You must stay on the asphalt. If you get off, it will trap you like quicksand today. Field is away. Number 11, Waltrip in front. Rudd from the outside in 2nd position. And you're with Tim Richmond as he comes out of 25th position. Snarling, grinding, fighting his way. He's just gone by Morgan Shepherd. He's up to 24th. He's going after Donnie Allison in the number 88. You're live in Tim Richmond's car as he hurdles up into turn 6. Meanwhile, the leaders are approaching turn 8. Waltrip in front. In the 2nd position, right behind him comes Ricky Rudd. And now in 3rd is Ruttman. And in 4th is Labonte. Down they go in the back straightaway. Coming to full speed, Waltrip in the lead. Up to 170, 175 miles per hour. And then into that turn where you just don't want to let go. You just have to just ease that car. And now you're back once again with our live onboard camera. Going down beneath the bridge, this camera should take a hit right about here. You're with Tim Richmond as he goes by, still another car, approaching turn 9 and pulls himself up into the 23rd position. Here he is around turn 9. This is what it looks like. Correction, you're in the Skoal Bandit car. You're running in 6th place right now. That's Harry Gant, number 33. The Skoal Bandit car of Burt Reynolds and Hal Needham. Right up there in the front of the hunt. They've had some oil pickup problems on that car. But there you see Harry Gant fighting his way through this field. Looking around out of the side of the car, out of the back of his machine as we go back to the leader, and Ricky Rudd, relentless in his last ride in car number 3. A lot of driver changes at the end of the year. And here they come another time. Down into turn 8. Waltrip on the point. He's won here twice. There's Joe Ruttman still there. Labonte still lying 4th. Front 4 all together. Lead automobiles all together. Back straightaway, 2nd lap. As they wheel down for 118 laps. It is car number 11, Waltrip, in the position he must be in. And remember, Allison can win the championship if he finishes 13th. But the story here is the last 3 times he has finished no better than 16th, 22nd, 16th, and 27th. coming out of turn 9, right to the wall at over 100 miles per hour. The wrong way around a half-mile track, Cale.
Well, it sure is, Ken. But you know, Bobby Allison is running a harder race than I thought he was going to run. He is right in behind Darrell Waldrop in those first few cars and staying there. He's not backing off any. So
there he is right there.
Right. Bobby's going to make a run for it, I guess.
So Allison has pulled up. Now you're back inside, I believe, Gant's car another time, the Skoal Bandit. There's the leader. Car number 11.
The racetrack looks like it's in real good condition now, Ken. It's dried off, but the problem's going to be when somebody has trouble and has to get off of the racetrack. It's mighty wet out there.
Car number 11, Waltrip. He has won 6 races this year. Allison has won 6 races this year. When he won the championship the last 2 years, Waltrip was able to sustain a drive that saw him win 12 events. Back straight away another time. A waiting game as Waltrip really rushes the field, staying out in front. Now he's collected 5 points for leading a lap. Remember that back in 5th place is Bobby Allison. If he can stay and sustain there, he will win the championship after trying for 20 years. 5 times Allison has finished as the runner-up in the championship. This year, after a bad time at Daytona Beach, he came back and won Richmond, Virginia at the Richmond Fairgrounds on that famous half-mile track. And now he is still holding on. There's Stevie Waltrip checking the board, taking a careful look at how her husband Darrell Waltrip is doing and checking those positions back. And the positions right now show Labonte 4th, Allison 5th, Gant 6th. Dale Earnhardt is up to 7th. Richard Petty is in 8th. Then in 9th is Bill Elliott, and 10th is West Coast driver Jim Bound driving for his dad. Jim Bound, the brother of Chuck Bound, the former Winston Western champion, and now one of the runners on the Stroh's Tour in the northeastern part of the United States. That Bound is the first West Coast driver, and there is a Western Series, and it is a combination of those 2 series that give us this great race. 3 laps complete. Waltrip is in front, as you see here, on the leaderboard. The Winston Western 500 has Ricky Rudd in 2nd, Joe Ruttman 3rd, Labonte 4th, and then Allison. Here is Waltrip in the 4th lap, and everyone is playing a pretty pat hand, Cale.
Well, they sure are. Everybody's pretty well got them a spot and holding it right now, Ken. I think this is maybe because the racetrack is still a little bit damp and they aren't taking any chances until they run a little while and make sure that they can make a move on the racetrack and still be safe.
Jim Bound, the 10th place car, has just pitted and come back out. Darrell Waltrip is in front. Can he stay there? Continuing live coverage of the Western 500, brought to you in part by Old Milwaukee Beer and Old Milwaukee Light, 2 of America's great tasting beers. It doesn't get any better than this. There you see Darrell Waltrip in front, battling for the Winston Cup, worth some $500,000 to a driver if he takes that championship. Right behind him is Ricky Rudd, trying to make it 2 in a row at Riverside. He won here back in June in the Budweiser 400-kilometer race. And there you are in turn number 9. Waltrip just so smooth and easy through there.
Well, it really is, Ken, but Ricky Rudd is putting a move on Darrell right now. He the lap before, he got right up by him going through turn number 1, and Ricky is sticking right with him.
See an anxious Junior Johnson looking on there. Junior Johnson, who's brought this car out, brought Waltrip to the title for the last 2 years and had a little to do with Cale Yarborough winning a few championships too. Now you're back with Tim Richmond in the old Milwaukee car. Richmond is fighting with Roy Smith as he charges through, and he's taken Smith out. He is on a charge. He's just gone by Buddy Baker, and he is up to 9th position. What a run by Richmond from 26th starting spot. Going through the S's, Tim Richmond back with the leaders another time. Lead car number 11. In the Winston Western 500, we now have completed 6 of the 118 laps that mark the distance. And since the beginning, Waltrip won in front. Now, just past the start-finish line, a lap ago, while we're in commercial, Ricky Rudd took a shot to go by at a place where you don't usually pass, but it looks like he's got some extra horses in that Richard Childress car.
Well, he started tried to get by him going in turn number 1, Ken, but had to back off. But what Darrell is trying to do is not let anybody pass. He needs to lead the most laps in this race and be assured of that 5 points for leading the most laps.
So Waltrip is going to stay out there and try to stay in front as long as he can. We asked Darrell Waltrip earlier, what about rain changing the track conditions here at Riverside? This is what he said.
The track will be different. All the rubber's been washed off of it. There's been a lot of water to run across the racetrack, and it'll be a little more treacherous than it was for a while. The big factor now is you cannot go off the course and expect to get back on. The factor now will be if you miss a turn up here somewhere and you get out in that mud, you're going to be there for a while. It'd be almost impossible for a tow truck to get you out of there. So now you really got to be careful not to go off the course, and that makes it hard.
Waltrip in the lead. Winner here in 1979 and 1980. It's all on the line for him today, and Allison must feel every vibration and every quake augmented about tenfold from the usual race worries one would have, because if anything begins to shake, rattle, or roll on that number 22 car, he's got big problems with the championship.
Well, I'm sure he's feeling everything that's happening, Ken. But, you know, Bob is running harder than I thought he was going to run in this race. He's really pouring the coal on that car.
Now you see Tim Richmond going into that long back straightaway, shifting into high. Here he comes down for the bridge, up to 170 miles. He went into third, now into high. Here he comes down this little hill, about a 5% grade, headed for the bridge. He's headed for turn 9. He's looking for somebody to race with. I believe the man directly in front of him now is Bill Elliott, and Elliott has him covered by about 3 seconds. Here he comes into turn 9. Describe that feeling for us, Cale.
Well, that's a tough turn, Ken. You come down that internet turn, you know, it faces you at about 170 miles an hour, and you know you got to back off and get through that corner.
You're back with the Skull Bandit. Harry Gant, the Halnita Burt Reynolds car. The number 33 of Gant is currently in 6th position. Bobby Allison is in 5th. And right behind him comes Harry Gant, and you can be sure that Harry wants to win today. They've had just an awful season.
Well, they sure have. That Skull Bandit crew has worked awful hard. They've just had a lot of bad luck, Ken. This is one of the better teams on the circuit.
Certainly is.
They've just had a lot of bad luck, but Harry Gant has done a good job with that Skull Bandit car this year, and Harry's a good road racer too, so you can keep your eye on him today.
Travis Carter crew. Here's a report from the STP Pit Center. Here's Dave Despain.
From the STP Pit Communication Center, let's bring you up to date on a couple of stories. Benny Parsons, scheduled to start 5th, problem with the engine, started dead last. He's come through the field and is now running 18th. Tires are a big story. Jim Bound has had a flat. Kyle Petty has had a flat. Tires cost Bobby Allison the championship here last year. Allison stripped a lug nut on a pit stop, couldn't get the tire off, had to go out and run that tire until it blew, and that cost him the title. Now, as we work on lap 10 of this race, we have a report of an unscheduled pit stop coming. The leader is coming to the pits. The leader is coming to the pits. Let's try to get a further report on that.
That is not the leader, of course. It is Allison who's come in. From Dave Despain's vantage point, he couldn't see him pulling out of pit road. Number 22, Allison, the 5th place car, is in, and they're changing rubber and sending him back out, and he's falling back in the field.
Well, he had to have a flat tire. They changed the right side, and evidently there's a lot of debris on the racetrack that probably the water has washed onto the racetrack, and that's a pretty tough break for Bobby this early in the race.
A lot of stones, a lot of rocks that get washed up and pulled up through. Maybe something went wrong with the tire, but Allison has fallen back. Now we're going to check his position for you and tell you where he is in the race. Waltrip continues his drive in 1st, with Ricky Rudd 2nd, Joe Ruttman 3rd, Terry Labonte 4th. And Allison has fallen to 19th place. Bobby Allison is back in the 19th position at this time. Now that would put him out of it. Let's go to Jim Roller. We have an audio problem. He is talking, of course, to Gary Nelson, the crew chief, and we'll try to get back with Jim Roller in just a moment to get that report from Jim Roller as to what exactly happened on Allison's car. We know it was a tire change. As to what the circumstances were, we'll try to update you in a moment. Car number 98 now coming in is Joe Ruttman. That was the car that had been running in the 3rd position, and the leaders are all beginning to have problems with tires because of this strange track condition, Cale.
Well, they are, Ken, but Joe Ruttman's got his hood up, so he's got more than tire problems.
Oh, what a bad break for Joe Ruttman. Finished 2nd here, still looking for his 1st Grand National win. one of the nice people, came off the USAC circuit, moved up onto the NASCAR Winston Cup Tour. Bad break for him. And there are the leaders. I wonder if those early stops by Ruttman and by Allison are harbingers of things to come for all of them out here today.
Well, it could be, Ken, but Ricky Rudd is hanging right in there with Waldrop, and Waldrop is still trying to lead every possible lap that he can.
Labonte now goes to third. Gant moves to fourth. Up to fifth moves Earnhardt. Into sixth goes Petty. Into seventh, Elliott. And from 26 has come Tim Richmond, and he is dramatically closing. Richmond trying to close it up on Bill Elliott. The interval stays about 3 seconds between them. There are the leaders. And there is Richmond, and you can see up in front of him, there's a lap car in between. Bill Elliott, who he's focusing on in the Ford Thunderbird. And here's Harry Gant. And Harry Gant is right up behind the car of Terry Labonte. That's Labonte running directly in front of the Skull Bandit. Richard Petty is in. Another of the leaders having tire problems here. The sixth place car, the 1969 and 72 winner of the event, Richard Petty, 7-time national champion, in for an unscheduled stop, and he's back on the track. Cale, what do you think?
There's got to be debris on the racetrack, Ken. You know, there are a lot of valleys in this racetrack, and when it rains here and the water just flows over the racetrack a lot of places, and evidently there's rocks and all kind of debris on the racetrack.
Bobby Allison is in another time. He will fall further back in this incredible development as you watch it live on Superstation WTBS from Riverside, California. The grand finale to the $10 million tour. Here comes Allison out. Let's go to Dave Despain.
Just 2 laps into this 119-mile battle. Bobby Allison, just 12 laps in. Bobby Allison has been in twice. Let's find out what's going on the car that started in 6th place. Jerry Garrett, you've been in the Allison pit.
Well, Dave, Gary Nelson, Allison's crew chief, said the first pit stop was for a slow leak in the right rear tire. Now, since then he's come in again, he's got a vibration problem they're trying to track down. Gary says that the track is very green and they're picking up all kinds of strange debris out there.
Jerry Garrett is our roving reporter in the pits. He'll be with us all day. The story right now, for the 2nd year in a row, as Allison tries to win the championship at Riverside, he is plagued with tire problems. Back to you, Ken.
So Bobby Allison is falling further back. He was in 17th. He is now out of the top 20. Joe Ruttman is back on the track, but running with a sour engine, very slowly by us this time. Leader coming by as we have completed 12 laps, 107 remaining. The leader remains. Car number 11. Is Waltrip going to do it? Is he going to win his 3rd championship? Remember, he must win, and in one of the circumstances, Allison has to be 13th or worse in the field. So far, nothing amiss on that car that continues to lead. Darrell Waltrip, twice a winner, trying to win it for the 3rd time and the most important time in his career. The Winston Western 500 will continue on Superstation WTBS. At Riverside International Raceway, just the most remarkable circumstances. Bobby Allison has had to pit twice in the early going. There you're watching the battle further back for 3rd spot. 44 Labonte is in 3rd. Harry Gant is in 4th, and directly behind him as they head for turn 8 is the car number 15, the Bud Moore car. There you see it up to turn 8. There's the 44, the 33, and the 15, and they are fighting for 3, 4, and 5 on the field. There's the 3rd place car, Terry Labonte. Right behind him comes the Skull Bandit with Harry Gant, and then comes that Bud Moore Ford Thunderbird, which has gone to victory twice this season. Terry Labonte carrying those red and white colors for the final time. Goes down under the bridge and into turn 9.
Again, there are a lot of final things happening today. A lot of history is going to be made here today. Richard Petty is running his last time for Petty Enterprises, and Terry Labonte will be changing sponsors. A lot of different things are going to be happening. 2nd place car comes on pit road. Car number 3, Ricky Rudd, running in 2nd place, has just pulled in, and here's Harry Gant chasing car number 44 down across the line, and they go back into turn number 1. You're with the Bandit, Harry Gant, and you see that red car in front of him as they go into the S's. Whoa, off on the right side, coming back into the left side of the track. Here is car number 3. Got to be another tire problem.
Another tire problem. That is the 2nd place car, but the leader thus far has nary been plagued by anything. He just stays out there and continues to keep running. Now there's car number 3. He just pitted and has come back out. We have 2 cars out. Jimmy Insolo has retired from the race, and 2-time Western champion Bill Schmidt. We saw him running very slowly in his car number 73. Those green and white colors have been retired. There's the number 11. There your leader. That is Darrell Waltrip, who stays up in front. Waltrip with the lead. In that second spot now, Terry Labonte, and in third is Harry Gant. Ricky Rudd falling back, having pitted. Ricky Rudd has fallen back. Terry Labonte goes up into second. Harry Gant goes to third. Dale Earnhardt is in fourth. Bill Elliott is in fifth, and Tim Richmond is in sixth, with Roy Smith in the 7th position, Benny Parsons in 8th, and Buddy Baker in 9th.
Ken, Benny Parsons has moved up through the field real good, too. He started absolutely last in that Copenhagen car, and he's really coming on strong.
Bobby Allison has his work cut out. The latest report was that he was running in the 27th position. He's got a lot of running to do. He needs a 13th or better. Of course, the attrition will help him some. That'll continue to build it up here. Waltrip has already collected 5 points for leading a lap. And there's another bonus of 5 points if he leads the most laps. Those are the only bonuses given. Number 55, Benny Parsons. He has just pitted. Benny Parsons, another factor here in this race, had pitted early, and he is in a second time. Laps, well, we're showing 16 laps complete here today in the Winston Western 500, coming to you from Riverside, California, live on Superstation WTBS, watching car number 11, Waltrip, continue to reel off lap after lap with seemingly no problem on the car. Number 11, there is Waltrip out of turn 9, moving in on some back markers as he comes to the stripe. He's about to lap J.D. McDuffie. He moves up on Bill Bown as well in the 93 as the skirmish continues to decide who will win the Winston Cup this year. It'll be given at the Waldorf Astoria in New York, a couple of weeks away. It has been Darrell Waltrip the last 2 years the recipient. Bobby Allison fighting again to put it back together. Joe Ruttman's number 98 has gone behind the wall. Work on Ruttman's car will go on behind the wall, or he may be terminal in the event, in which case he would be the 3rd car to retire. Now there's Tim Richmond's car. You're inside of the old Milwaukee, number 27, the Blue Max. And he's up on a lap car and trying to move through. Tim Richmond headed for turn 6, up through the S's. Dramatic pictures from Richmond's car. Car number 11 still in front. Waltrip, when he needs it. It looks like the luck goes with him. Will it stay there? Of course, he had just terrible misfortune, as you saw on WTBS with our live coverage in Atlanta. That was not his day. The car didn't work all day, Cale.
Well, it sure didn't, Ken, but this race is real young yet. Anything can happen. Bobby's maybe having his problems early. Waltrip might have his late. You never can tell.
Now here's Waltrip in the 11, skirting turn number 9, having completed 18 laps, 101 to go. And as matters stand, he would come from behind in the last race of the year and take the title. There's the leaderboard as it currently stands. And there has been one change. Ricky Rudd's car has dropped back. Ricky Rudd pitted and is no longer the 2nd position car on the field. That is moved into 2nd, the Terry Labonte car. Gant is in 3rd, Earnhardt is in 4th, Richmond is currently in the 5th place. Here's your leader. Out of turn 6, that short straightaway, about what, 110 miles an hour through there, Cale?
About 110, and then you have to slow way down to get through that turn 8 and back down that long, fast backstretch.
Well, he has nothing to lose. All he has to do is stand on it today.
Well, he's going for broke.
Let's go to Dave Despain.
We have 19 laps in and 100 laps to go. Let's review what's happened to a couple of our front runners here. Joe Ruttman, the hometown favorite, started 4th, has just dropped out of this race. He was having carburetor problems. That's a whole new team. They thought it might gel in the last race of the year. It didn't happen. Benny Parsons is still very much on the charge. But one of the stories we really need to follow today is down here at the other end of the board as we look at one of our wild card picks, and that is Tim Richmond. The reason he started in 26th spot is that he blew an engine in first day qualifying. That car, which carries our onboard camera, is the second fastest car in the field. But because Richmond qualified on the second day, he had to start in 26th position. He has picked off 20 drivers in the early running. The report on Bill Schmidt is that the engine has blown in that car. Bill Schmidt is involved in the battle for the Winston West Championship among the West Coast stock car drivers. He was very much in the thick of that point battle. He has blown an engine, and Bill Schmidt has just walked into our STP Pit Communications Center. Bill, we'd like to meet under different circumstances. What happened?
Well, our motor just finally let go, and we've been having a problem all weekend since we've been here, and we were really kind of looking forward to this race because we had a crack at this championship out here. But it kind of knocks us out of that now, but I guess all you can say is we'll try her again next time.
Better luck next time. Any chance at all of pulling out that title, do you think?
No, I think Jim Robinson pretty well got her cinched up now.
Jim Robinson is going to be the benefactor. Bill Schmidt suffering a blown engine here in the Western 500. Ken?
And he was talking about the Winston West standings there. There is a series on the West Coast, of which there is one race after this. That is in Phoenix, Arizona. And Schmidt has been right up in the hunt along with Robinson through most of the season. Well, the field now, there you see an anxious Junior Johnson. You drove for him for a long time. What's he like to drive for when the pressure is on like it is today?
Well, he's just stays just about like you see him there now, Ken. He's easygoing, calm, and lets everything fall where it will. He's not a man to put a lot of pressure on you. He gives you the equipment to do it with and let you go out and do your own job.
Now, if you're just joining us, the race was delayed approximately 1 hour in its start with our live flag-to-flag coverage. And Bill Schmidt, that we were just talking about a moment ago, he is fourth in those Winston West standings, we're being told. Jim Robinson first, Jim Bound second, Herschel McGriff third. The delay, because of rain, has caused problems for a lot of cars here. There's been a lot of pickup on these tires that have no tread, and it is bringing some rocks and stones onto them, and they're cutting tires down, as they say. There's your leader, Darrell Waltrip, in command of the race. Here he is, moving down through another time past some lap cars. Tim Richmond has passed Bill Elliott, and he just motored by him, and he took over in 5th place. Richmond is up to 5th, and he's closing on Dale Earnhardt in the 4th place Ford Thunderbird. Gant 3rd, Terry Labonte 2nd, and Darrell Waltrip. Here he is, back at turn 9, another time, commanding the Winston Western 500 and looking just terrific. Right behind him, one of the West Coast drivers, bound at number 93. Can Waltrip stay there for the day? We'll know shortly. Stay with us for our live coverage on WTBS. Well, there you see the standings in the Winston Western 500 taking place here at Riverside, California. Waltrip is in front, Terry Labonte in second. Thus far, no cautions in the race. They're running at a record speed on what they call a green track. With me is the two-time winner of this event, the three-time national champion, the great Cale Yarborough. Your thoughts about Waltrip out here and what used to be your ride?
Well, I drove a lot of laps around here in that number 11 car, Ken, but Darrell is doing a good job. You know what really has surprised me, that nobody has been off of this racetrack as of yet, and the racetrack was still wet when the race started, but everybody is really doing a fine job, and Darrell's holding on there. Bobby looks like he's picked up the pace just a little bit, but Tim Richmond looks like he's running everybody down. Richmond is just flying, and one of our onboard cameras, of course, is with him. Allison is back to 20th position. Now, for Bobby Allison to beat Darrell Waltrip, for Allison to win the title for the first time in his career, regardless of what Waltrip does in today's race, he must finish in the top 13. Allison leads Waltrip by 64 points coming into today's race, and the lucky number for Allison is 13. By finishing 13th or better here today, Allison locks up that much-pursued, most lucrative title. Allison can improve his chances even more by running up front. Now, should he be able to lead the race for even one lap, he'll pick up a 5-point bonus, and he can clinch the title then with a 15th place finish. Now, there is an additional bonus for leading the most laps in today's event, and right now the man who's working on it and hard at it is Darrell Waltrip. But should Allison, should circumstances change here, be able to accomplish that, pick up the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, then he would only have to finish 17th. He can't do that. He's back in 20th, just fighting to get back up in the top 13 at this point. Waltrip continues to stay in front. Now for this man, Darrell Waltrip, the
only chance he has of overtaking Allison in that season-long battle for the Winston Cup. He needs to lead the most laps today and win the event. Doing so, Waltrip would come up with 185 points. Allison would have to finish 14th or worse without even leading a lap, and he hasn't led a lap. Now, should such a 14th place finish happen for Allison, he would earn 121 points to tie Waltrip. And in case of a tie, you go back to the number of wins. They're both tied at 6 wins. So then you go back to second place.
I don't know where you go from there,
you
kid.
go to
it's complicated.
Second place, Cale, and Waltrip would win it because he has 8 second places and Bobby only has 5.
Well, I don't feel like it's going to be determined that way today anyway. I feel like that something has got to happen in this race to either Darrell's going to win it or Bobby's going to win it. I don't believe it's going to be any time.
24 laps are complete, and the point that Cale Yarborough made, don't you, about the fact that everybody has run well. We've had Insolo, Bill Schmidt, Joe Ruttman is now reported as out of the race, and Johnny Krebs is out. The story here is that everyone is being very careful, very conservative, although they're running just as fast as they dare.
Well, they sure are, Ken. Nobody, to my knowledge, has even been off of the racetrack, and you know it's hard to believe that we've run this many laps with no incidents whatsoever.
Bobby Allison is closing up on car number 2, Morgan Shepherd. He is pulling up on Shepherd. Shepherd has been in for a while. Here's Tim Richmond. Now that you're riding right now with Tim Richmond, the 5th place car, and he's headhunting. He's looking for Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt's won 2 races this year. And Earnhardt is up there lurking about 4 seconds in front of Tim Richmond. He is coming, the old Milwaukee car, from 26th spot. Now look at him go through that corner. He is a wild man. A lot of people say that he is the next Cale Yarborough, that he is the kind of driver who you in your early years, nothing would stop you. You'd go through anything to take a race.
Well, he's doing a good job. You know, Tim gets around this racetrack very well. There are a lot of good road racers out here, and Tim is doing a fantastic job today. He's coming up strong, and he's going to be a contender before the day's over.
Donnie Allison is about to be lapped in the 88 car by Darrell Waltrip. There you see the Jim-bound car, the 93 car. They're in the back straightaway. Here's Waltrip down on the inside, hustling, hurdling, 3,700 pounds of metal, full song down into turn 9. He's pulled up behind Donnie Allison, who's made a comeback driving for Cliff Stewart in the last 2 races of the year in that car, number 88. And there's Waltrip shooting down beneath him as he goes into turn number 9. He really wants to lead the most laps, doesn't he?
Well, he sure does. That could mean the championship, and he's in a position to lead the most if nothing happens to him now. So he's not backing off any. He's going all out for that most laps led.
Now you're with Harry Gant. You're in the Skull Bandit. That car is running in 3rd place at the present time. Waltrip first, Labonte second. You're with Harry Gant. And there he is. There you see Terry Labonte just in front of him in the red car. That's the battle for 2nd position. Here they are by the start-finish line, by our location, going into turn number 1. Harry Gant settles in, heads for the S's, pulls up on Terry Labonte. Incredible pictures as they rocket through, and you're watching it live today here on Superstation WTBS, back inside of the old Milwaukee car with Tim Richmond. And remember that Richmond is running in the 5th position, looking for Earnhardt. Meanwhile, late report from scoring, Bobby Allison up to 16th, the 1975 and 81 winner of this event. There were 2 races in 81 on this track, and he won them both. Allison is up to 16th. There's the leader, Waltrip, having no problems, floating, cruising. When you look good, it's that old country song line, when you're hot, and right now that number 11 couldn't be running better.
Right now he's red hot. Nobody's even around him. He's got the racetrack almost to himself, and he's just got it hung out there and just staying there.
Now there's Bobby Allison. You're looking at car number 22, the white and red car, running in the 16th position. In front of him is Herschel McGriff as he tries to close in through there. Allison is moving up. He's trying to get back into it. You see Benny Parsons just in front of him. I believe that Benny
just passed him back. Bobby Allison.
You've got a fight there, and Benny Parsons, who was just behind Allison, has just closed and taken the spot. That puts Allison back to 17th, moves Benny Parsons into 16th, Herschel McGriff 15th on the field. They're fighting out back in this race. Waltrip, Labonte, Gant are the front 3. There's Bobby Allison. and Benny Parsons, the 1973 national champion. Benny Parsons, 1975 Daytona 500-mile winner. Winner of 19 Grand National races. Here he is in the back straightaway. These very difficult turns and all this shifting. We asked Bobby Allison what part of the track that he liked most out here to run that car number 22 through.
Well, probably the S's are quite different from anything else that we have. That, I guess, the shifting, what you do all the way around the racetrack, is different from what we normally do. So that kind of has my interest.
Number 22, Bobby Allison, continuing to try to run this field back down. Allison floating around this track looking for car number 55. Benny Parsons just barely in front of him. Here they are, headed up through the S's into turn 6. Bouncing off those curves. It would look like those curves would just tear those cars apart.
Well, it gets pretty rough on them, Ken. They're really little cement barriers there, and you run across them, and it really shakes the cars apart, and sometimes you do have problems.
Number 33 is in.
Arrogant Skull Bandit in the pits.
Now that's the car that is running in the 3rd position. The Skull Bandit is in. See him doing a little wiping job on the old windshield there.
Yeah, they clean his windshield so we can see. Harris making a 4-tire change.
Third place car.
This could be a regular pit stop.
Indeed, it's that far up. We are now showing 28 laps complete. 28 laps down. That gets us 118 miles in, so that's when they should be pitting. And we ought to see Waltrip come in right off.
Waltrip's got to be coming in shortly. 118 miles, that's a long ways on a fuel stop anyway.
Now there's Allison. He's been getting better range out of that car all season long in that number 22 than anyone else on the tour, we believe. Let's see what he'll do with that. But the leaders should be getting ready to pit, and that would mean that Waltrip and LaMounty will be coming in.
Benny Parsons in that Copenhagen car is really stretching Bobby out now, so Benny's running real well.
Jackson Brothers preparation, Johnny Hayes' car. And there's your leader, number 11, Waltrip. Can you believe it? That kind of story that's gone on and on for 3 years looks like it's going to be somewhat similar this year. Well, here is Allison now being shown out of it as they begin to make pit stops. As some of the leaders begin to make pit stops, here's Earnhardt coming in. This crowds the field up. It moves into 13th Parsons, into 14th Allison, so he's still a spot out. Now you're watching Dale Earnhardt.
Dale's making his last ride in that Bud Moore Wrangler number 15 too, Ken. He'll be moving on next year to another car.
And still the leader. There you see him, Darrell Waltrip. A remarkable success story, but this year, a terrible crash in Daytona Beach. Slamming that inside barrier coming out of turn number 4, and then the car being spun back into traffic right in front of Harry Gant that day, and Cale Yarborough. You were pretty close to it.
I was too close.
They gave the replay out of your in-car camera. It looked like you cleared that spinning car of Darrell Waltrip by just about 6 inches.
It sure was close, Ken. That's mighty close at the speeds that we're running to.
Well, here's Waltrip today, hoping that he has no misfortune. And, of course, the Allison fans saying we don't want anything to happen to him personally, but if something should malfunction on that car, that'd be just fine with us. I was sitting with, a year ago at this race, with Junior Johnson's wife, Flossie, when it got down to the end. And as you recall, Allison's car broke in the latter moments, and I will never forget Flossie Johnson in tears, absolutely shaken. She said, we wanted to beat Bobby, but we wanted to beat him on the track. We didn't want it to finish like this. Grand lady.
She sure is.
Junior Johnson didn't feel that way.
You take it anywhere you can get it, I guess.
Well, there's the leader, Waltrip, up into turn number 6. He has already picked up 5 points. Credit him with 5 points. 4, leading a lap. Now he is working on leading the most laps in the event, and he is doing a Methodist job of it at the present time. The Winston Western 500 will continue live on Superstation WTBS, so stay with us. Continuing live coverage of the Western 500 is brought to you in part by Noxzema Medicated Shave Cream. share the softness. Noxema, a new leader. Beginning of regular pit stops here in the Winston Western 500, and there's 27 down the inside. Tim Richmond going for the lead. Tim Richmond passing Richard Petty in a battle for first place. Richmond, you just saw him sneak down the inside. He's come all the way from 26 to go out in front with that old Milwaukee car, and he surges across the line. You're riding with Tim Richmond right now as he throttles up into the S's another time. Richmond has just passed Richard Petty, and the reason is that the regular pit stops have begun. Waltrip has pitted. He has come back on the track. He is shown in third behind those two leaders who have yet to pit. You can hear that engine just soaring in car number 27. How many RPMs does that 27 turn out there, Cale?
He's probably turning that, and he's into the wall. Tim Richmond's into the wall.
Richmond sliding, trying to pick it up. Petty is retaking the lead. There goes Waltrip into second. Richmond falls to third.
He got in that turn 6 just a little too hard, and he got away from it.
Well, he's getting ready, and the tires and tubes are doing fine, but the air is showing through, as the old Hank Williams song goes. He ought to be in for new rubber shortly.
But he didn't do any damage. You could see the left side of his car, and he didn't hit the wall, so he'll be okay.
Richard Petty is leading, number 43. There you see Richmond in the maroon car, back to third spot. Richard Petty shown in first. Waltrip into second. Richmond in third. Caution is on the track. Yellow is coming out for the first time. Not sure of the rationale for it, but there's the NASCAR officials believe they need a caution. And boy, I'll tell you, on today's race, you really want to be on your toes when you see those lights go on up at turn 6 and going down into turn 9.
Well, you sure can. Now, that's going to put Bobby Allison in good shape.
Petty is pitting. Petty pits. 11 and 27 stay out. There's Richard Petty's crew. What a story here, Cale. Would you believe it? The last time we'll see Richard Petty racing for Petty Engineering.
Well, he'll still be in the same car, in the same color, and the same number and all, but it won't be the same. That Petty Enterprises have been around for a long time, Ken, and I'm sure that this is a sad day for Richard Petty.
I'm sure it is. Now you see, just taking off his goggles as we're under caution, we are under yellow, is Tim Richmond in the 27 car. We are under caution. Now, when they restart, they do not restart. And there's Harry Gant charging back out, along with Richard Petty. Pretty good race there in the pit road.
Down pit road.
Harry
Gant still had to give up on him.
They will restart the field coming out of turn 8 on the back straightaway. That long stretch gives them a chance to kind of get established and racing rather than this very tight first turn.
Well, this is the only place that the race starts on the back stretch.
There's Raymond Beadle, the Blue Max himself, twice World NHRA drag racing champion, who came in this year with a Grand National team, selected Richmond as his driver. And Raymond Beadle sure knows a lot about motors and a lot about cars. And he said the other day, I think I've spent about $600,000 as a loss this year, but I think I know how to do it next year.
Well, I'm sure he had a good lesson this year. It takes time to get established in this sport, but they've done a good job, Ken. That Tim Richmond and that 27 car, Tim Brewer and all the guys have really done a good job their first year out, and they're going to win some races next year.
Well, there you see them lined up, and as they're deployed, Waltrip is first, and you see Richmond now in second, Petty having made his pit stop. Ricky Rudd unofficially, and they have some debris on the track, the report is, and it's up here through the first turn area, and I believe they're going to pick a car up that's off at a precarious position just through the first turn, past our start-finish line area. Now you see the field coming down out of turn number 9, under caution, counting laps, of course, and I think we're going to see the leaders pit. Indeed, that's the case. Waltrip in, and here comes the Tim Richmond crew in. Everybody ready on pit road. Tim Richmond comes to a halt, and number 22, Allison, is staying on the track. Bobby Allison, remember, he had a couple of unscheduled stops. He's trying to get back into it.
Bobby Allison will lead this lap, Ken. That'll give him 5 points.
Well, if all the leaders are on pit road, and that means that if Allison is indeed the leader, he will pick up enough points, so all he needs is 15th or better. In the pit stop period, Bill Elliott, just before the caution came out, he overran the range of his Thunderbird, and he came in on an empty tank and fell back several spots. Now you're with Richmond again. He said he was going to make a race of it, and the last time he told me that, I believe we were together up in Pocono, Pennsylvania. He went out and won the darn thing. That was a wild slide up in 6. They have restructured. They talk about how serious turn 6 is, and indeed it is. It's a critical turn. It has taken the lives of some drivers, but they've rebuilt that turn, Cale, and right there, going into turn 6 is not the dangerous turn that it used to be when you first came out here.
Well, it's really not. It's a little bit better now, Ken, but later on in the race, that turn tends to get slicker and slicker, and the racetrack tears up just a little bit, and you get marbles up there, so they're going to have problems with turn 6 all day.
Now you see them coming out of turn 8 and down that back straightaway. Now you drive down that back straightaway, and it takes, seems like a minute. When you guys go down, it seems like 15 or about 5 seconds and you're there. Here's a report from the STP Pit Center, Dave Despain.
All is well with the leader, Darrell Waltrip. He came here, he won the pole, he knew he had to win the race. Waltrip at this moment is doing everything that he has to do. They did make a 4-tire pit stop under green prior to this yellow flag. They have since been back in. Let's look at what's happening with some of the other cars. Ricky Rudd has an oil pump problem that's troubled him all week. A former winner here at Riverside is falling back into the field. Big story on Bobby Allison. He made his 2 early pit stops at lap 10 and 12, elected not to come in on this lap under yellow. He is the leader of the race. That gets him a 5-point bonus. He will have to make a pit stop probably within the next 10 to 15 laps unless he can get in under this yellow, having gotten his bonus, make his service, and in fact we understand that Bobby Allison is coming on pit road. Back to you, Ken.
Indeed he is. Here's Allison now. Did he lead the lap? Did he finish the lap in the lead? Allison came to the line, and we believe he picked up those 5 bonus points. And we're checking now with Robert Latford as the status, and it is correct that he did lead a lap and got the 5 points, which would get him back to 15th. He took the lap. Now he's in right side tires, and we're getting ready to resume this race. Now he's fallen back behind everyone again.
Still go put him behind again, Ken.
Let's go to Jim Roller with a report. Come in, Jim Roller.
Raymond Beadle, Tim Richmond was running so well, had a slight problem. Did he give you any indication as to what happened?
I think he just got a little loose coming. He just barely touched the wall down there, but we were fortunate when we come in earlier. We only changed 2 tires, so at least we got to take advantage of the yellow and change all 4. So I think we're in real good shape now.
All right, Tim Richmond, little problem, but they feel it didn't hurt him too bad. Back to you, Ken.
Getting ready for a restart here. You're back inside Tim Richmond's car. Number 21, Buddy Baker, no low gear in the box right now. Here we are, getting ready to go back under it another time as Richmond works that car over, and on the brake, there's Richard Petty and the rest of the field darting down the back straightaway. You see the pace car coming in, this very unusual start, and as they wheel down into the corner, it'll be Richard Petty, number 43, in the lead. Richard Petty, now remember, he's working on 199. So close to that incredible 200 mark. There's Harry Gant, number 33, right with him in the second spot. Leaders all bunched up. It is the Terry Labonte car running in third. That caution came out on lap 33. We're back under green, and you're back inside of the Skoal Bandit. Harry Gant in second place. Harry Gant hanging on to Richard Petty as they race up into the S's, Cale.
Well, they looking, Harry Gant is looking right at Richard Petty, but don't you know Richard Petty would like to win this final race in his Petty Enterprises car?
Indeed he would. There is such pressure on these leaders. Let's check for you. Buddy Baker is way off the pace. He's almost half a lap down now. And as we mentioned, he has a problem in the gearbox. There's Petty in first. Flipping down, coming over to turn 8. That looks like Roy Smith from number 74, the Canadian driver, just in front of him, twice Western champion. Petty first. There's Gant right there in second. Then
gets
comes
a little out of shape.
There comes Labonte running in third, and Benny Parsons in fourth, and Roy Smith is slowing down on the inside and waving them off.
Ken, if Buddy Baker and that Valvoline Ford's got gear problems this early, he's got a long day ahead of him.
Oh my. This will be like a 24-hour marathon for him. Here they are, back to turn 9. Look at Petty.
Head stretches them out.
Into turn 9. Richard Petty first. Gant in second. Parsons in third, and you're back inside Harry Gant's car. Right behind Gant, hanging on his rear bumper, is that car number 44 of Terry Labonte. Here they are back to the start-finish line, completing 37 this time by. We had 3 laps under caution. Petty first, Gant second, Parsons third, Labonte fourth, fifth is Earnhardt, 6 is Waltrip. 6 is Waltrip. 7 is that number 27 car. Well back in this hunt, car number 11. the Darrell Waltrip machine. It's Richard Petty in the lead position, Harry Gant in second. The Winston Western 500 to decide it all. And it is still Petty, after the caution period, leading the race. Well, the stories continue to develop. Richard Petty has popped out in front. And while we were away, Benny Parsons has just scooted into second place, relegating Harry Gant into the third position. Sad news for the Chameleon Sunglasses car, number 90, prepared by Junie Donlevy. His Ford, number 90, Richard Brooks, just expired in turn number 9. Blew the engine big. He is out, 6 car to retire. You're with Harry Gant, running in third place as he muscles that car around those corners. There you see him, approaching turn 6 up over the hill. There's Petty in first. There's your second place car, number 55, now Benny Parsons, who has never won this event. Petty, of course, won it twice, 1969 and 1972. Richard Petty, 198 wins, stays out in front.
Benny Parsons in that Copenhagen car has really come on strong. He's given Petty a battle there for the lead, and you remember he started last in this race, so he's really doing a good job. Ken, we also understand that Darrell Waltrip may be having some shifting problems.
What looked to be the all-time perfect day begins to have a gray cloud over it, much like those that were over this track this morning that delayed the start by over 1 hour if you're just joining us. The Winston Western 500 had inclement weather that nearly scratched the event. They were talking about going to next weekend to run the event. But then the sun came out and the skies changed. We had a good stiff wind, dried the track out. Here's Petty in the lead. Right behind him, Benny Parsons, and the third place car, Harry Gant. The fourth place car is now Terry Labonte. Fifth is Earnhardt. Up to 6 has moved, again, Tim Richmond. And in 7th, dropping back to 7th, is Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip now in 7th as Tim Richmond has passed him. As for Bobby Allison, he lies 13th. And the championship is again within his grasp. Here's Dave Despain.
Here in the STT Pit Communications Center, let's review a couple of significant items. Darrell Waltrip did not have to make any chassis adjustments on his pit stop that he made under the yellow flag. Contrast that with 2 weeks ago here on TBS when you saw Waltrip flounder all day long with a car that simply wouldn't handle. A big story in Benny Parsons. He started this race dead last. He qualified very well. He was up in 5th spot, but a rev limiter problem on the starting grid forced him back to 45th starting position. He has moved up into 2nd place and is locked in a battle with Richard Petty. And I'll tell you what, that is quite a story and quite a charge. Petty himself is a story. He's won this race twice, but Richard said that he wasn't having very much luck here this weekend. He was not at all pleased with the way he was getting around the racetrack, but now suddenly Petty is your leader. Not very much good news here today for Buddy Baker. Buddy is stuck in 4th gear on a road race course where you need all 4 gears. Keep in mind that the Wood Brothers crew won this race. That's Buddy Baker's crew. Won this race 5 of the first 6 times. Back to you, Ken.
And you saw the red light out on the Ruttman car. What a bad break for Joe Ruttman, who originally came from Upland, California, and has so many fans out here on the West Coast. The West Coast is where they decided the championship for 1983. And here you see Richard Petty deployed in first. Benny Parsons is in 2nd place, the number 55. There you see Benny. And what a run he's making for. One of the nicest people in motorsport, Cale.
Well, he sure is. Benny is a super fine fella. And Benny is a good road race driver, too. You can see now that he's putting the pressure on Richard Petty. And I believe if he could ever get by him, that Benny Parsons would be a hard man to handle here. But there he is, down the backstretch.
Down to turn 9. Now, this is about 175. There's a little kinky dog leg here, and you have to keep your foot all the way on the floorboard through there, Cale.
You sure do. You can't back off. You got to drive that car on down to about the number 2 marker if you're going to get around this racetrack in a hurry.
And you're going the wrong way.
Absolutely.
I mean, that corner is the wrong way. You're right up against the wall. If you slide here, it's hello walls.
Benny Parsons' car is smoking some. Looks like he may be pushing a little bit in turn number 9, but there's no smoke after he gets out. So I guess it's just a handling situation. 15
cars in the lead lap, Cale. 15 still up in it. We've only had 1. There's that smoke again you were talking about.
Is.
Richard Petty stays first. Benny Parsons in 2nd. In a bit of an upset here. A real surprise. The third place car is Gann, and he's right there. And there's number 2, Morgan Shepherd. Now that car should have been a real contender today.
That's some major problems.
That's the car that Joe Ruttman drove to second place, and it's the car that Tim Richmond won this race with twice a year ago. The Jim Stacy car. And here he comes onto pit road. That's where
he's gone to the garage area.
Tim Richmond started his winning career, was in that car. Morgan Shepherd out of it. He has a deal for next year to drive that car. There are your front three. Petty is in first. Benny Parsons is in second. And Harry Gann lies third with Terry Labate in fourth. Dale Earnhardt in fifth. And the big story continues to be, where lies Darrell Waltrip? He's seventh. And Bobby Allison is in 12th in the race to decide it all, the Winston Western 500. We're with you live on Superstation WTBS in the race of the year at Riverside, California, to decide the championship, the Winston Cup at stake, and as well to decide who's going to win this very prestigious $275,000 event. We have a three-car battle up front. It is Richard Petty carrying Hill's colors for that team for the final time. Right behind him, Benny Parsons in second. Harry Gann sustains in third. Let's go to Dave Despain.
Car is reporting a difficulty, a reported problem with Darrell Waltrip's car. The difficulty, if in fact it exists, is in the transmission. The car is sixth on the racetrack. We have reporters on the way to check out that story. One of the big stories of this race is Tim Richmond. His car owner, drag racing star Raymond Beadle, is with me now. Are you surprised at the way Richmond came through this field, Raymond?
No, not really. Our car was consistently quicker all week. We were just unfortunate during qualifying. We broke a rod bolt, so we had to start yesterday. Our car was the quickest car yesterday, and I think the second quickest overall with our race setup. So today we've been the quickest car so far, so hopefully we'll finish first.
Richmond's a charger, isn't he?
Yeah, this is one of the tracks where he really seems to shine. We won both races here last year with Stacy's car, so maybe he can repeat.
Richmond had problems in qualifying and blew a motor, but he's gone to the front. Drag racer Raymond Beadle, the car owner. Back to you, Ken.
Some smoke just came out of car 44, Labate, as he went down in turn 9, Cale.
Well, he did, but he came in and made a pit stop and went right back out, so evidently he might have had a tire rubbing or something.
We have 45 laps now complete. 189 miles have been covered. There are other 189 kilometers in this 500-kilometer event. And out in front, it remains Richard Petty's race. And there you see that second-place car hanging right in there, Benny Parsons. And he has now gone into the lead. Parsons has whipped around Richard Petty, and he has taken first place. At issue is Petty.
Petty hasn't come around yet.
At issue is Richard Petty, number 43. He has not come around. There is number 55. It is the new leader in the race. And Petty is coming very slowly under the bridge. There's the leader. Petty is limping down toward turn 9. There you see him really off the pace. Bill Elliott sweeping by, and Tommy Gale in the 64 car. There's Buddy Baker going by him. Richard Petty, who was the leader, we have a new leader. The new leader is car number 55. Parsons is first, and Harry Gann is in second. Dale Earnhardt goes to third. Tim Richmond is in fourth.
Petty has a flat tire. Looks like a right front tire, but it changed the left side. Evidently, he only has a flat tire, though.
Well, let's hope he gets it all back together here. What a run he has made. This moves Darrell Waltrip into fifth. Bobby Allison now seventh. Allison back to seventh, Cale.
Bobby's moving up. He knows he's got his work cut out for him, but Bobby looks like he's running a smooth race, and I think he knows that the race is still young, and he's still got a good chance of winning this championship.
Indeed he does. It is still a young race, and as Cale points out, it's the oldest cliche in the world. Anything can happen, but it's certainly been proven out here over the first 45 laps, 46 laps now of competition. There's the new leader, Benny Parsons, in car number 55, who has never won out here in this race that used to be held in January. It used to be the initial race of the year, and then they would go to Daytona. Now, of course, it's reversed. And they end the year here at Riverside. In those days, Ontario, California was the last race of the year. Kind of a crying shame to drive by these days and see Ontario with nothing there. Bobby Allison is running very slowly in turn 9. Here's the 55 car. There's the Skull Bandit. And you're with Harry Gant. Right in front of him is Tim Richmond. And look at those two go at it. There's the 55, your leader, at turn 6, closing up on Buddy Arrington. Now to put him a lap down. Bobby Allison is pitting. The 22 car is in again. What's the story here? It's right side tires. What do you think, Kel?
Absolutely flat tire. They aren't looking under the hood. They're just checking the tire, so he's had another flat tire. Maybe he's getting rid of all his bad luck early. And
boy, it never comes easy for Bobby Allison, does it? Since 1966, when he took that little car, he built himself that number 2, that little Chevrolet, went up to Maine. There's 43 Petty in. Allison is back out. And 5 times Allison has run to the runner-up spot for the championship. It is the goal he wants. Meanwhile, Tim Richmond is just blasting through traffic. He's trying to close up on Dale Earnhardt. They are fighting for second position as we watch Petty coming out. Remember, Parsons is your leader. And we have a battle going on for the second position. Car number 15 and car number 27 are having a dandy scramble. And there you are, trying to look out the back of the car because right behind him, directly behind him, is Harry Gant. Leader again. There's the 55, and now you are with car number 33. That is the Skull Bandit, and he is right on the tail of the man who is currently running 3rd overall, Tim Richmond. Back with the leader, 55. Parsons staying out in front. Benny Parsons having a dandy day in first spot.
Benny Parsons just put a lap on Richard Petty, Ken.
And that puts him 1 lap down. Parsons in first, Earnhardt in second. Richmond 3rd, Gant 4th, Waltrip 5th. After Bobby Allison's pit stop, he is 12th. And Allison is going to pit again. Number 22, Allison has just taken another circuit of the track, and he is back on pit road. As we're watching Benny Parsons, now you see Allison. You're back in the Bobby Allison pits another time, live on Superstation WTBS. He's won this race 3 times, but more than ever, he needs to win it now. Gail, how about it?
Well, evidently they changed the wrong tires on the car. He had a flat tire, I guess, and they...
Whoa!
Oh, Tim Richmond really out of control coming out. But Bobby's going back out now. Maybe he's got the right tires on this time.
And there they go, up through that very difficult, very tricky, very subtle area of turn 1 into the S's now. Story here is that the Ford has come to second place. Dale Earnhardt in the 15 has meandered up into the second spot. Richmond is 3rd, Gant is 4th, Waltrip is 5th. Bill Elliott, who had trouble earlier, is in 6th. And the 7th place car is Terry Labonte. There's 55 showing some smoke that time as he went into turn 8. There's the 2nd place car. That is the 15. That is Dale Earnhardt sustaining 2nd. Right behind him comes Richmond, and Richmond's just throwing that car all over the racetrack, Dale.
Well, he sure is. He's sticking right with Earnhardt there, and he's really driving that car hard. He wants to move on up and try to get a shot at that first place, I guess.
Tim Richmond lying 3rd. Harry Gant lies 4th. Back they go for turn 9. There's the 2nd place car. Richmond in the 15. 15 Earnhardt. Richmond in the 27th. Here they come, and what a fight that kid Richmond at 27 is making with Earnhardt. They have now completed 50 laps. 50 laps are complete. You're watching 2nd place. 55 is up in front. This is the struggle for 2nd. And 15 is Earnhardt, and 27 is Richmond in that confrontation. Then back in 4th is Harry Gant. 5th is Waltrip, waiting on a report on Bobby Allison's position after that 2nd pit stop. Bobby Allison's position, trying to pick that up. And the leader continues to show some smoke in there, Cale.
I believe that smoke's coming from somewhere else now, Ken. I don't believe it's tire smoke.
Looks like
it's coming underneath the car. You can see the smoke coming out underneath the car, so Benny Parsons won't be there long.
March Air Force Base, which is next door here to the Riverside International Raceway, is saying there is the potential for another shower today. Well, we've had everything. 55. There's Benny Parsons trying to hold on to the lead.
And the smoke gets worse and worse.
The second place car, a little further back, car number 15. Scooting under some cars is Dale Earnhardt, and Richmond lies with him, and Harry Gant in the Hal Needham car is having a heck of a day. Look at the smoke bellowing out from beneath car number 55. Parsons in the lead. Using up a lot of racetrack as he went by. Bobby Allison is a lap down. Allison shown 1 lap down at the present time. And scoring is giving us an update on positions. We'll give them to you in depth in a moment. Just throwing that car up through the S's goes Parsons.
Ken, that's going to make a pretty interesting situation now. Bobby Allison being a lap down, he's going to have to run harder now and try to make that lap up, because he can't afford to be a lap down if he can help it.
Indeed he can. Remember that Waltrip, Darrell Waltrip on our latest report, is in 5th position. Allison is in 14th, 1 lap down. He and Richard Petty. Petty is in 13th. Allison is in 14th. This coming with 51 laps complete. Parsons first, Earnhardt second, Richmond third, Gant is fourth, Waltrip fifth, Elliott sixth, Terry Labonte is 7th, Ron Bouchard 8th, Scott Miller, West Coast driver, is running in the 9th position. Herschel McGriff is 10th, Neil Bonnet is 11th, and Jim Robinson maintaining 12th. That's with 51 of the laps complete in the event. Distance to be covered today, 119 laps will make it. Parsons still smoldering, but still leading out here. 20 wins for Benny. And here's Harry Gant, still trucking for Hal Needham, who is here today watching the event. And the Skull Bandit is running in the 4th position. Up in front of him is Richmond in 3rd, Earnhardt in 2nd, and there's the leader. Puffs of smoke coming out from car number 55 in the lead. Richard Petty is a lap down. And we'll be back with more of the Winston Western 500 as Benny Parsons commandeers the event in a moment. With 54 of the 119 laps complete, Benny Parsons in the Johnny Hayes car is leading in the Winston Western 500. You can see the smoke just bellowing out from beneath the car as he comes back to the start-finish line another time. Parsons in the 1st position, Earnhardt 2nd, Richmond 3rd, Gant 4th, Darrell Waltrip is in 5th, and we may be able to get an updated report on Darrell Waltrip. Let's go down to the pit area, standing by at the STP Pit Center. Here's Dave Despain.
The big story here, the lap board. 54 laps. That's the lap they're working. 60 laps will comprise an official race here in this scheduled 119 lapper, and that's important because large black clouds are moving toward this speedway. If it rains, they have to complete 60 laps for it to be a race. Now the story is this. Bobby Allison, working to get his lap back, is running in position right now to clinch the championship if the race is stopped at 60 or shortly thereafter, and his adversary, Darrell Waltrip, may have a problem. He was the pole sitter, he was the early leader. Jerry Garrett has been in the Waltrip pit and found out the story on that transmission. Jerry?
Very little comment from Junior Johnson on this matter, Dave, but it appears that the transmission is making some ominous noises. They're just trying to baby the car. They're not going to push it like they did before and see if they can save it.
So in other words, Waltrip is not charging. He's content to stay where he is, trying to save the car. Allison has a very close eye on some dark clouds that are approaching this racetrack. Ken?
The wind has picked up, and it is raining around us. There is rain around us at the present time. There's the 55, and as Cale and I were speaking a moment ago, it looks to us like the rear end on that car may be getting warmer than he might want on Benny Parsons' machine.
Well, I would think it would be an oil leak somewhere, Ken. He's been running that way for quite a while now, and maybe just got a head gasket leaking or something, and a valve cover gasket leaking, and just causing smoke. It's not hurting his running any at all. But Bobby Allison is really on the move now. He's pulled up behind Petty. He's going to try to get around Petty, and then if he can get back around Benny Parsons, that'll put him back in the same lap.
Now, as you watch those three cars, remember Allison is 14th, and at 50 laps, Allison had led one lap, running in 14th position. That's worth 126 points. Waltrip has led 33 laps, is in 5th, worth 160 points. If the race were to end now, it would be Allison winning the championship by 34 points. Let's go to Jim Roller.
Looks of concern on the faces of the crew of Benny Parsons, Copenhagen, car number 55, Leo Jackson. A little bit of smoke coming out of that car. What's concerned about that?
Yeah, what happened? Our rail member messed up on the parade lap, and we had to come in to take it out. And we got all concerned about that and forgot to turn our coolers on. So we basically what's happened, we turned our rear engine transmission up. We're really just praying for rain.
Well, everybody's doing a rain dance down in the pit for car number 55. Back to you, Ken.
So they're cooking the rear end on car number 55, and it's just about well done from the look on Leo Jackson's face.
If it's rear end or transmission, Ken, with that much smoke coming out, it can't last much longer.
Parsons stays in front. Now remember, 60 laps will make it the halfway distance, and at that position, it is a official race if it should start to rain again. Now here's your leader, Parsons. Then comes the lap car behind him of Richard Petty, and the key car, 22, Allison, in that trio. Allison trying to get his lap back, get back on the lead lap. Remember, he's running in 14th position at this time. He's running right behind those two front runners. Earnhardt is second, Richmond is third, Gant is fourth, Darrell Waltrip is fifth, Bill Elliott sixth, Labonte seventh, Bouchard eighth, Scott Miller from the West Coast is ninth, and Herschel McGriff is 10th. Well, there's Benny, back once again, knocking on the door of turn number 9. Came out of the ARCA ranks where he was the champion back in 1968 and 69. Moved on to the Grand National Tour, was the division champion. Became the 6th driver to earn $1 million when he won the National 500 back in 1977. He's now earned over $2.5 million, and this is an excellent run. You know, the Skoll team, that U.S. Tobacco team, which that car is part of, is a big medical program, and they're really working with the drivers. They've taken a lot of weight off Benny. He's been doing some new exercises, isometric programs to build himself up, and that may be part of it. I'm sure that the physicians would like to say so.
Well, he's sure running like he's awful light right now, Ken. He has really opened the gap between himself and Richard Petty and Bobby Allison. He's gradually pulling away from him. It's hard for me to believe that a rear end or transmission would be smoking that much, and he could still run that strong. I believe that oil or that smoke is coming from an oil leak somewhere.
Well, they say the coolers were not turned on car number 55, and he may have got a little, as they say, head up out there. All right, Parsons stays in front. Now some 57 laps are in the record book here as the Winston Western 500 continues to unfurl at Riverside, California.
We're live at Riverside International Raceway, scene of the Western 500. More news on Darrell Waltrip, who is trying to salvage the Grand National Championship here today. The car has transmission trouble. It is coming out of high gear. He's having to hold it in gear, and they're hoping, the crew from Junior Johnson, hoping for a long yellow so that they can try to help Waltrip, but they don't know what help they can give him at this point. With us in the STP Pit Communications Center is Jerry Long. He's the president and chief operating officer of the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. You've got a lot of money, Jerry, riding on this championship, whoever wins it. What's it worth to Waltrip and Allison?
Well, the difference between first place and second place is $50,000. The winner will get $150,000. So if Bobby wins today, he will make $150,000 first prize. Now, Darrell only got $75,000 for first last year. So it's a double win. So the difference is $50,000, and the second place car will get $100,000. And this is the primary position in the race between first and second. But we also have a terrific battle today between fourth and fifth, because Richard Petty is presently in fourth, 45 points ahead of Terry Labonte, and that's a difference right now of about $25,000. So it's very meaningful for those drivers. For most of the other drivers in the top 10, their positions are pretty well put in place right now, Dave.
It's all part of a $500,000 payoff, $500,000 that will be paid off at the Waldorf Astoria in New York in a couple of weeks. Win, lose, or draw, they'll all be there to celebrate that. The story right now, Darrell Waltrip with transmission problems. The rain has moved out for the moment, but there are still black clouds threatening this racetrack. Let's go topside now to our anchor position, Ken Squire with Cale Yarborough.
All right, 2 or 3 major developments. Allison has passed Petty. He is behind the leader, but now we've seen problems on another of the lead cars.
Well, there's some smoke coming out of looked like Harry Gantt's car a little bit when I saw him come by the last time. So evidently Harry's got some problems too.
And we have a report there has been rain at turn 6. We're checking with Tom Curley, his spotter loop around the track. The latest word we had, Tom, was rain in turn 6. And is that still holding? And there still is a drizzle in turn 6. That very critical turn, which would go down, that is up on the east end of the speedway. We have gone halfway. Half of the race is in. Half of the race is in. Caution is coming on the track. We see a pace car moving out. Here's the leader, number 55, Petty. 55 is coming in. Bobby Allison is making up his lap, and Richard Petty is making up his lap. Now here comes number 15, and we have a car in big trouble here. That's J.D. McDuffie's number 70 off the course. Sanford, North Carolina campaigner J.D. McDuffie. That's too bad. And he had a bit of a fire. You can see him with a bottle. Worked on something under the hood. 55, Parsons on pit road. We had a sprinkle up in 6. Caution is out. It did not come out for the rain. It did come out for J.D. McDuffie in car number 7.
Darrell Waldrop is in the pits now, too. They look like they may be trying to fix that transmission.
And you saw, as 55 came out, Earnhardt is in. Now 22, Allison just got his lap back. As you saw, 55 pit. And 43 also retrenched his forces here, and he has his lap back. And there is Waltrip. Anxious crew. Back on the attack.
I don't really know of anything they could do to that transmission, Ken. You know, there's no way to get inside and work on a transmission.
Harry Gant is limping down from beneath the bridge, the number 33 car, very slowly. The Skoal Bandit, the Hal Needham car. And there you are inside of him, and that's the one picture he did not want. Just barely moving. You can hear the sound, and there's almost no sound from inside the car as it idles in. What a bad break for that crew.
More of that tough luck that Skoal Bandit crew has had all year, Ken. They have really had their share of the bad luck this year.
Well, he's just crawling now. There's a consultation flag out on the 47 car. Here's Richard Petty in the pits. For Travis Carter and that crew who have worked so hard, and there is no one more cooperative, no one more willing to give of himself for that crew and for that team than Travis Carter. This has to be a heartbreaker. Harry Gant out of the race. Dale Earnhardt has been up in front. Now he has pulled back, gone into the pits. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who is standing by, editor of Stock Car Racing Magazine, see if we can get a report from him.
Can. Last year, the problem simply went away. This year, who knows?
Dick Berggren down on pit road. We'll try to get an update on that report for you shortly. Attrition. Let me build that attrition board for you, and it's a sad one right now. Jimmy Insolo, Bill Schmidt, Joe Ruttman, Rick McRae, Esau, Brooks, Shepard, Smith, Jim Bound, Ricky Rudd, J.D. McDuffie, and now Harry Gant have fallen by the wayside in the last race of 1983. We'll be back with more in a moment. Continuing live coverage of the Western 500, brought to you in part by Old Milwaukee Beer and Old Milwaukee Light, two of America's great tasting beers. It doesn't get any better than this. Well, it's getting a little grim down here as the Junior Johnson crew stands by, anxiously awaiting the fate of car number 11. There's the pace car bringing the field around. Number 47, Bouchard, Ron Bouchard out of Pittsburgh, Massachusetts, a lap back. As we have the standings now, we're waiting for a report on 55. Benny Parsons in first. Tim Richmond from 26th spot has raced himself back to second. And Cale, the word is race with Richmond. Then in third spot is Earnhardt. Fourth is Waltrip. And in fifth is Terry Labonte. Sixth is Elliott. Seventh is Allison. Eighth is Miller. Ninth is McGriff. 10th is Neil Bonnet. And they are all shown in the lead lap. Back to the STP pit center.
Center here. Sprinkles of rain falling, and we're not going to put you on the spot, Fritz Duda, the owner of Riverside Raceway, and ask you to predict the weather here. I do want to ask you about a predominant rumor that this is the last race at this facility. Is there any truth in that rumor?
No, there isn't, Dave. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a full schedule for 1984. Riverside has become a major testing center out here. It's a major motorsports complex, and we're looking forward to a full year of racing in 1984 here at Riverside.
Can you tell me long range what's happening with the track?
Long range, Dave, Southern California deserves a first-class permanent facility. With all due respect to the street races and these other one-time events, we really don't believe that the future of motorsports in Southern California lies in a parking lot in Las Vegas or an annual block party in downtown Long Beach. We deserve something more than that. We do a lot of testing here. It's a big economic impact for the community of Riverside, for this Inland Empire area, all of Southern California. And before we do anything long range in terms of relocation of this facility, we intend to have a first-class facility to move into. So we don't anticipate any interruption in the racing schedule here at Riverside International Raceway.
That's Fritz Duda, the track owner, scotching the rumors that this is the last of the Western 500s here. Ken?
Fritz Duda may be a bit of an enigma to a lot of folks, but he has been in racing for over 20 years. When the Motor Racing Network first went on the air, he was a turn announcer. He was an attorney down in Texas, but he knows a lot about the game and knows a lot about real estate. And when he says that they're going to keep it going out here, Cale, that's of interest.
Well, he owns it. He can do what he wants to with it.
And now that Ontario is closed, then there is a need for a super speedway in the far west. No question about that.
Well, there's no question about it. The rumors that we'd heard out this weekend was that Riverside will stay in operation, but very shortly there will be an oval track built very nearby that we'll go to. You know, Benny Parsons is leading this race. I thought maybe when Benny pitted under that caution that he made a mistake, but Benny did the right thing. He went in early and everybody else made their stops. It just put Benny right back in the lead of this race. So if rain did come, Benny Parsons would be right there. He started in last. I'll tell you, he's a tough dog to keep under the porch.
We are we are under the second caution, I believe, of the day. And Cale Yarborough interviewed Darrell Waltrip a little earlier, former national champion, another champion, on winning and pressure out here.
Got a piece on luck for you, Truck.
See the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh.
The obvious question is, how are you going to run this race?
Well, I think there's no other way than to be conservative and try to go for the points this time. I don't know how I'm going to address that problem. I've never been faced with that exact problem before. And as you well know, I enjoy the racing. I love to race, and I love to go after it. But the big prize does look like it's within our reach this time, but we certainly have to do the right things to be able to get it. So I hope I can keep myself under control, and I know the guys have worked really hard trying to make the car as strong as possible. So I think that's pretty much the best answer I can give.
Well, you know, I've been in both spots, and I know how you feel. I know that even though it would seem that the pressure is on Darrell, but I'm sure there's some pressure on you too, Bobby.
Well, it really is. You can think of all the little things that can go wrong, even right down to a mistake that I might make on my own part.
After you win this championship, if you do, what are you going to do?
Well, I have won a lot of major races, and that's a great feeling, but I think that the championship certainly would have to be a step above that. And I've even won some short ones that were great thrills. But I think that if we indeed are able to pull this thing off Sunday, it'll be a feeling one step above what I've felt, and I'll figure out something to holler.
Well, I'm sure you will, and I can tell you from experience, it's a great feeling.
Cale Yarborough with Bobby Allison about the pressure and about winning this championship. We are just back under green. We have a few spatters of rain on the window here at the start-finish line. Jamie D. McDuffie's car has been picked up after the second caution of the day. Only two thus far, and Benny Parsons made the right pit stop, and he stays in the front-running position. In the second spot now is Tim Richmond, and in third is Dale Earnhardt. That is the late report. That is the man we're all watching. Benny Parsons in car 55. Let's go to the STP Pit Center. Update from Dave Despain.
Well, Harry Gant and the Skull Bandit gave us a pretty good show for a while, and particularly a good television show. Harry, the pictures were marvelous, but the engine wasn't up to it. Is that the story?
Yeah, the engine let go there about, a few laps ago, so it had a little vibration. I thought it would maybe last the race out. It ran, pretty good, but it broke coming across the bridge. It must have broke a rod or something.
You handled yourself pretty well as a road racer out there. Aren't you more familiar with those left-hand ovals?
Yeah, we're starting to get used to this. I think maybe one more time out here with some luck, I'll believe we can come out here and win this thing if we can ever stay together.
Harry Gant got to the front, actually led the race, then blew the motor. Let's go now to Dr. Dick Berggren on pit road.
Well, success in automobile racing certainly takes a good car, it takes a good crew, it takes a good driver, and it takes a lot of luck, too. Several weeks ago, Terry Labonte wound up in Victory Circle at the Rockingham Speedway, his first win since 1980. The day of the race, the team found this horseshoe sitting in the infield at Rockingham Speedway. They taped it to the toolbox, hoping it would bring them luck. They won the race. They brought it back out here to Riverside, hoping it's going to bring them good fortune here, too.
Are you superstitious, Cale? Do you believe in things like that?
Well, if I had done that, I would have sure brought it. Well, I would sure give it one more try, Ken.
At 65 laps of this race, Bobby Allison pitted just in that caution period toward the end of it. Allison has led one lap. He is currently shown in 7th position. That's worth 151 points. Waltrip has led 33 laps. He is in 4th position, worth 165 points. The difference there about 15 points, and with a 64-point interval going in. Remember that Allison led by 64 points going into today's race. Then Allison, if it stays as it is, would win by 50 points. But everybody's had problems here today. Just look at the attrition. Listen to this. Jim Bound is out. Ricky Rudd is out. J.D. McDuffie is out. Harry Gant has said bye-bye. Roy Smith, Morgan Shepherd, Richard Brooks, Ron Esau, Rick McRae, Joe Ruttman, Bill Smith, and Jimmy Insolo have all fallen by the wayside.
Tim Richmond has just gotten by Richard Petty, and he's in shot of Benny Parsons now, but Benny Parsons has really got that car under control. He is flying, and looks like the smoke's gone now, Ken, so I don't know what happened on that pit stop, but evidently they did something. There's Tim Richmond fighting that wheel inside now.
Shaking and quaking around turn number 9 as he closes, comes across the start-finish line, goes down, looking out the back for just a moment, see where Dale Earnhardt is. He has some distance on Earnhardt. The man he has to be concerned about is this man, number 55, Benny Parsons, in front. And whatever the cooler problem was, blown engine on car number 91. Going away is the Coca-Cola car of Johnny Krebs out of Rockland, California. Krebs, number 91, says good night. And Krebs becomes the 13th retiree from the event. That one looked like it was terminal. They're standing around, but see smoke like that.
Yeah, I believe he can call it a day.
They're working on a...
Yeah, they are.
That may not be an engine. It could be he was getting some tire wear up against the fender well on car number 91, John Krebs in an Oldsmobile. Johnny Krebs, car number 91, back out another time. Rockland, California. I believe he's a fireman up that way.
There goes your leader, Ken, but Tim Richmond is running him down. He's coming on strong.
We have another car pulling in, Scott Miller in number 51, who did his early racing in motocross and started out there. He's just pulled on pit road. He had qualified as the leading West Coast driver from the Winston West Series. He's pulled in. He's having some problems now.
You can see Tim Richmond coming up in sight now, and he's gaining on the 55 Copenhagen car, Benny Parsons.
49 laps to go. 70 complete. And there's Tim Richmond in that second spot. Boy, he uses up a lot of racetrack.
He's giving it all. That's what it takes to get around this place. You can't baby this place, Ken. If you're going to run hard here, you've got to be mean to this racetrack to get around it.
There's Tim Richmond getting ugly in car number 27. He has such a baby face. Here he is, out of turn number 8. Rookie of the year in Indianapolis back in 1980. Struggling to win this one. Has had to come from well back in the field. 26 at the start, and what a charge he gave us in the early going. Leader continues to be Parsons. Interval stands about half a second. 3/4 of a second now between this man, number 27, and the leader, Benny Parsons. Here they are, swooping into turn number 9. So pretty to watch, so dangerous to drive. And you're back with Tim Richmond fighting that wheel right on the very edge. A little bit of a glitch there as they come under the grandstand. Back comes Tim Richmond at number 27. There's the leader, Parsons.
Looks like Parsons might have gained on him a little bit that lap.
Hard to say. Look at Richmond just down to the dirt. He's turned that car every which way but loose here this afternoon. Do that for 2 or 3 hours and it certainly builds up the forearms.
It sure does. This is not an easy racetrack to run, Ken. It's a cool day and it's not near as bad on you, but you can run this racetrack in hot weather and it's one of the toughest on the circuit.
Really shuffles you around in that seat. You look like you're just about iron bound to that race car, but that's not the case at all. Still, Parsons in first and the 55 in second. Dale Earnhardt is third. Waltrip is fourth. Bobby Allison is in the 10th position. Here's a report from Dr. Dick Berggren.
And I'm with Raymond Beadle, who is the car owner for Tim Richmond. Your guy is really flying out there, isn't he?
So far, we've moved up real well. If the rain will just hold off now. We had a real good pit stop a minute ago, so now with a little bit of luck, we'll be all right.
Have you got a special strategy for the rain, Raymond?
Well, no, not really. We're just trying to stay out as long as we can, not make any unscheduled stops. But so far, we've been looking good.
In a situation like this, where it's threatening weather, it's very intelligent to get to the lead and stay in the lead. You never know when it's going to start to rain, cause the caution, possibly even the end of the race. So there's a very hard competition going on the racetrack right now.
Bobby Allison is running in the 9th position. Darrell Waltrip is running in 4th in their battle for the championship. The overall winner, or leader rather, is car number 55. There's a long way to win it yet here in the Winston Western 500, coming to you live on WTBS from Riverside, California. 72 laps about to be completed and 47 remaining in the Winston Western 500, and the rain is a bit more intense here at the start-finish line. Spattering on the window here. You're inside of Tim Richmond's car as he throttles through turn number 9. Allison, Bobby Allison, has led 1 lap. He is currently in 9th. That's worth 143 points. Darrell Waltrip has led 33 laps. He is in 4th place, worth 165 points. The difference 22 points. Remember that. Waltrip was 64 points behind Allison going into today's race. And so if the race were to end at this moment, it would be Allison winning the national title by 42 points.
Tim Richmond is reeling in the 55 car now, and he's running hard because he knows it's raining. Now it's raining pretty hard down the front stretch and then turns 9. So Benny's going to try to hold him off. Tim's going to try to get in the lead. So if this thing is rained out, they'll be the winner.
Jim Robinson just blew an engine in car number 78. He's coming on pit road, smoldering here. Number 78. He is the current Winston West leader. He's won 5 races this year, but he's in big trouble right now and out of it. Back to the race for the lead. There is Parsons in first. Tim Richmond in second. Down they go into turn number 9. It is raining much harder now. Here they are in turn number 9. In this turn 9 area, they're getting a fair amount of weather. And as you come out of 9, you pitch it right to the wall, Kay. There's the second place car. Here they come, sliding out of the corner. You're with Richmond as he fights the wheel out of turn number 9.
And he's picking Benny up a little bit more each lap.
He is now to within 10 car lengths, and it could end within a lap or 2 here today. Hal Needham has just come by the booth. His car, of course, just went out. You're back with Richmond. You saw him bounce off that curb that time.
Yeah, Tim is really, he's really putting all he's got into the effort to get around Benny Parsons, because he knows if it rains, he's got to be in the lead to win this race.
There he is, right there, and he's pulling up.
That's a tough place to pass there in that turn 6.
They muscle each other, and Richmond is taking the lead. He threw it to the inside in turn 6, and Tim Richmond has gone in front of Benny Parsons. Boy, he doesn't worry about the sheet metal out there.
He sure didn't. That was a tough place to make a pass. Very seldom you pass there.
Somebody better tell him you can't pass there, Cale. Here is Richmond now out in front. Tim Richmond in car number 27, sporting a brand new beard and a brand new position in this race. He is now leading after starting in 26. Parsons is there. I think Parsons would like to take it back, and might have some other thoughts about this. You're in turn 9, down from 170 miles per hour. They are working in lap 73. Richmond now first, Parsons second. Waltrip is up to third. 9 cars are in the lead lap, and the 9th place car is Bobby Allison. He will win the championship if he can stay there. Tim Richmond out in front, still continuing to rain. Actually, I think it has let up a little here in the past 3 or 4 minutes. Tim Richmond out in front now by 10 car lengths. Tim Richmond won both races here a year ago. He's a favorite to win again. He discussed whether or not he felt he had an advantage.
Well, I don't know if I have an edge. You know, equipment is an edge, and crews are an edge here. And talent is an edge. And everybody thinks that I've come from a road racing background, which really I haven't. I might have run 5 or 6 road races and road courses prior to coming to run with the Winston Cup Tour. And, you know, I'm mainly an oval guy, so I think we've just taken a liking to this racetrack, and being a little aggressive here doesn't hurt either if you can stand it.
Being a little aggressive. Did you see that move in turn 6? Now that's the last time you're going to see that Pontiac Le Mans body on the 27th. Change of sheet metal coming up in 1984. Now there's the new leaderboard. Tim Richmond now commands the Winston Western 500. And we could get a flag to bring this one down at any moment because of the weather conditions. Stand by. As you look at the leaderboard in the Winston Western 500 from Riverside, California, live here on WTBS, the Superstation, the final race, the $10 million series. You're also watching number 22, Bobby Allison, who is currently in 9th position. And after 20 years of effort, Allison in this race, he's led 1 lap. He is now in 9th with 143 points. Waltrip has led 33 laps. He is in 3rd position with 170 points. The difference, 27 points between them in this event. Waltrip was 64 points behind Allison going into this race. So the old subtraction is 37 points in favor of Allison to win the championship right now. Take 27 points away from 64. Allison will win it by 37 if he can stay there. Big if. Big if on this racetrack. Green track. We started an hour late because of rain. Allison made 2 unscheduled stops early, was able to get back in it. Here he is still trying. The determined Bobby Allison, the leader of the Alabama gang, trying for that championship, which 5 times he's come so close, and 5 times he has seen someone else take the Winston Cup. This year in New York City at the Waldorf Astoria, just 2 weeks away. Will it be the Big Apple for Bobby Allison, or will Darrell Waltrip duplicate the feat of Cale Yarborough, your co-host today, and win it for a 3rd time? Now there is your leader, Tim Richmond, who has done just an incredible job. The old Milwaukee team has come together here at the end of the year and running this sheet metal for the last time on that Pontiac car. They are commanding the race with Benny Parsons in 2nd. As we mentioned to you, Waltrip is 3rd, Dale Earnhardt is 4th, Bill Elliott 5th, Neil Bonnet 6th, Terry Labonte is 7th, Herschel McGriff is the leading West Coast driver in 8th, Allison is 9th, Richard Petty is 1 lap down in 10th. McGriff won here yesterday in a tremendous race that they had for the Grand American cars. Vince Giafromaggio finishing in 2nd position, and a brand new name, Rick Ware, 20 years old, from California, placed 3rd in only his 2nd pro race. Did a dandy job. Well, here as the laps begin to unravel, we have 41 laps to go. Underneath, doesn't let off anywhere. He just went by Sterling Marlin. Relentless is this guy. Look at him square that car away and shoot it from the outside. He just aims it like an arrow and fires it home.
Well, he wants to stay up there too, Ken. The raindrops are falling again, and I'm sure that when he sees those raindrops on his windshield, he knows he needs to stay there, because Benny Parsons is still right there and will be able to win this race if it rains. So they're both going to stay up front.
Right there as they come through turn 8, and they lap Buddy Arrington. Rain again around the racetrack. Parsons almost in trouble. Now he's out of it. They're into the back straightaway. A quick report from the STP Pit Center. Here's Dave Despain.
We are at lap 80 here in the STP Pit Communications Center. The last restart came on lap 67. None of these cars will be able to make it to the finish without another stop for fuel and probably for tires. We are at lap 80. It's crucial for Bobby Allison. He is running in 9th spot. It's continuing to sprinkle. He's in good shape to win the championship because Darrell Waltrip is continuing to have transmission troubles. He's having to hold the car in gear. He cannot charge to the front, and he really needs to win this race to win the title. The Benny Parsons story. What a saga that's been today. He qualified in 5th spot. He started 45th because the car failed. The rev limiter broke on the grid, and he had to start at the back of the field. Then, lots of mysterious smoke, and Jerry Garrett tells us that mystery is a mystery to everybody, isn't it, Jerry?
Well, the crew chief says that the car started to smoke. They didn't know why. It stopped smoking. They didn't know why it did that either. They thought it would blow. It didn't blow. Benny Parsons says it's running just fine now over the radio, so they're just going to wait and see what happens.
So everybody's waiting to see if it's going to rain. Benny Parsons is waiting for an opportunity to reel in Tim Richmond and try to win the Western 500. Ken?
Two more retirees. Sad to tell you that Ronnie Thomas, former Rookie of the Year, fellow from Christiansburg, Virginia, has just had trouble, and he's gone out. 13th retiree, and Jim Robinson, you saw his engine blow as he came on pit road. In front is Richmond, holding on, trying to win his 4th Grand National race. And what a thunderer here he is. Here he leads by almost a second, Cale.
Well, Tim's really got that car dialed in, and it seems like every time Benny gets close to him that Tim just pushes the button a little harder and walks on away. I think Tim knows that his car is working well, and all he needs to do is stay up front now. He's not punishing the car quite as much the last few laps. It doesn't look like as he had been in the previous laps, but Benny's still got him in sight, so anything can happen.
Benny's car, if you can say it on a road course, looks a little loose at this point. The back end is slapping out here time after time in some of these more difficult corners.
It is a little bit loose, but the smoke has stopped. I still believe Benny Parsons had an oil leak somewhere, and maybe a valve cover gasket or something, and it just stopped.
Caution is coming on the track. Yellow is coming out. There is a caution on the track. You can actually see some water coming up from underneath the car number 27, Tim Richmond's automobile. The pictures just remarkable from Richmond's car, and with this inclement weather, being next to the Air Force Base here, our helicopter, which picks those pictures up and brings them back to you today, has had some monumental problems. But when we've had them, we've really seen what these drivers have to go through on a road course. For the first time live on television, a blown engine on car number 35 as he came across the stripe. Under caution, Pat Minte of Saugus, California, his engine just said goodnight. Car number 22, Allison, pitting. Number 22, Allison, is taking this opportunity under caution as rain is pelting the track now. It's coming down a gusher here at the start-finish line area.
Ken, I'm sure the caution is for the rain, and I don't really understand why Bobby made that pit stop. If this thing would have to be rained out, he would lose some positions by stopping that early.
Now you're watching in the rain, and that track is slippery. Correcting, dancing his car around. Number 27, and he is still, as he came by to complete that lap to make sure he held on to it, he was wide open through turn 9.
He sure was, and Benny made a last effort dash to get around him coming off 9 and almost lost it.
So, we have caution on the track, and you can see the water pick up off the slicks on car number 27 and 55 in our live coverage on WTBS today. We will be back with you in a moment with a story on the weather and the story on the race and the story of the national championship. Tim Richmond leading, Benny Parsons in second. We are in caution. For the two-time winner of the Winston Western 500, Cale Yarborough, I'm Ken Squire. Topside, we are under caution. It is only the 3rd caution of the day. It comes out in the 82nd lap because of inclement weather. There is Bobby Allison, number 22, who sustains the 9th position after you saw he made that pit stop. Allison stays out. Now, Cale Yarborough, the situation here is this track does not. There's Bobby Allison's crew standing by, and Gary Nelson with the headset on talking to Bobby. And looks like they may be bringing him in for more rubber. Coming down, he does not pit this time by. This track does not dry out easily. They were blessed this morning with a good stiff breeze. There's the old Milwaukee car out in front. You're looking through the front through the rain. Car number 27 of Tim Richmond. This track does not dry out easily, Cale. And I would presume if this shower stays, this well could be the end of it.
Well, it could be, Ken. The S's and up through turn 6 look like they're awful wet, and it'll take quite some time to dry this racetrack out if it stops raining. You can see the water there coming up from Bobby Allison's car. It'll take a long time, that much water to dry off for this racetrack with no sunshine.
Walt Carter and company were just blessed. Here you are in the back straightaway following the pace car. You're in the old Milwaukee car now of Tim Richmond, who you have watched today come from 26 up into the lead in this battle. He leads Parsons, Waltrip third, Earnhardt fourth, Elliott fifth, Neil Bonnet sixth. Warner Hodgson's car back to sixth. Then it's Terry Labonte in seventh, Herschel McGriff, the first driver from the Winston West Series, in eighth, and Bobby Allison in ninth. The 10th position is number 43, Richard Petty, 1 lap down. 11th is Marcus, 12th is Bouchard, 13th Kyle Petty, 14th Donnie Allison, 15th Becker, and 16th is Doug Wheeler, another West Coaster. 14 cars have now retired, the latest being Pat Minte. Around turn 9 come your leaders. We have, again, 9 cars running in the lead lap.
That's a lot of cars for this late in the race and on a road course, and the race has been quite competitive, and you know, it's just still amazing to me that nobody has really gotten off this racetrack and got in that mud. I guess everybody knows it's there, so they're staying away from it.
Well, this track can trap you. Down here in turn 9, this is where A.J. Foyt had one of his worst wrecks when he got trapped in that sand, and it flipped him over, broke his back years ago here. And when it is a wet condition out here on the edge of the Mojave Desert, that stuff will just suck you in and just tear a car to pieces. And so the drivers have really treated it with respect today, and thus far there have been no serious incidents in this event. Waiting for word from NASCAR as to what they will do with this, and of course you know what Richmond wants them to do. And there you see the twice world champion, the famous man of the Blue Max himself. And there's the 11 car.
I'm sure Tim Richmond wouldn't mind if it rained it out right now, and I'll bet Bobby Allison would be.
Not indeed, but that's the one thing that Darrell Waltrip does not want it to do. Raymond Beadle standing there with a big smile on his face, ecstatic, feeling that this one will probably be terminated and he will be in great shape. We must thank the people of the Riverside International Raceway for the great cooperation and the job they've done. They were blessed with a good stiff wind to help them get the track right out, but they and the NASCAR officials did a marvelous job of getting this race just less than an hour from the original starting time underway today and got us through the halfway point of it. Darrell Waltrip, are you going to go out here looking for Bobby Allison today? How about it?
No, there's really nothing that, you know, watching him wouldn't do us any good. We've got to, hopefully we'll be ahead of him all day, and if he finishes, if I come across the line on a white flag and I'm leading the race by a country mile, he's in the top 13, he won the championship, I won the race. So it's that kind of situation. There's no really secrets to what's going on. If he finishes the race, he's probably going to win the championship.
The thoughts of Darrell Waltrip from a day ago. Darrell Waltrip, the defending national champion, and his crown rests very unsteadily here as we get down to the end of this event. The rain continues to spatter down, although it has now abated at the start-finish line, and we're waiting for spotter reports from around this 2.6-mile, 9-turn facility where the national championship is being decided. And you're watching it live on Superstation WTBS today with Dave Despain at the STP Pit Center, Jim Roller, Dr. Dick Bergman along pit road, Jerry Garrett working with us today, Kelly Yarborough, I'm Ken Squire, and it has been a hard day on our camera crews. They've done a remarkable job. Here is number 27 coming by, and Allison is pitting again. Bobby Allison is in. Changing rubber.
Ken, evidently Bobby thinks this racetrack's going to dry out. I don't think he would have made that pit stop had he thought that the race was going to finish under rainy conditions. So
well, he
thinks it's going to dry.
He's on the tail end of a lead lap. There's nothing for him to lose here. He's running in ninth, and he can make it back up, and feels he has a pretty good chance of getting back there without losing a lap. So he's doing everything he can to get himself a little insurance. Here's Dave Despain.
Here in the STP Pit Communications Center, Ken, there is more to that Bobby Allison story. His first stop under the yellow flag was because the engine had begun to skip. They think that it's not picking up fuel, but they're also speculating that they might have some water in the fuel system. They really don't know what's wrong with the car. they made the second stop in order to get new tires. But there is an apparent problem for Bobby Allison. Obviously, he's got to finish this race to clinch that championship. The rain has stopped. Cale's speculation that they may well run this race some more, or that at least Bobby Allison thinks that, is probably very true. The rain has stopped here. The key may be an engine problem for Bobby Allison. Back to the top.
We're going to be checking on that story. We have reporters on the scene now with Gary Nelson, and as soon as we can get a verified report, we'll pass it along to you. Bobby Allison running ninth on the tail end of the lead lap. The track continues to dry, and they're going to try to get it in. There are 35 laps complete, and we may be getting another flag here. We may see a red flag come out. That is indeed exactly what's going to happen. They're going to bring the race down. Harold Kinder is putting a red flag on the field as they come around, and they will be completing as they come by. Checking our laps, they will have completed, I believe, 84. And here is your leader. You're with the leader. As he comes down, Tim Richmond. What a magnificent performance out of Richmond today. He's been rough when he had to be. He's been smooth when he needed to be. He's taken this car right to the very edge under the worst of conditions. This rain this morning was just incredible. We never thought they were going to race today, did we, Ken? We came out here this morning in a downpour.
We sure didn't, Ken. I wouldn't have given 5 cents for this race this morning. It was raining everywhere, all the way from town out here, and it's just unbelievable that it's cleared off and we've gotten this much of it in.
85 laps are now complete here today. We had a gully washer out here this morning, but they were able to get it underway, and they have now run themselves far enough in so it is an official race. If it ended at this moment, Tim Richmond would win for the second year in a row the Winston Western 500 as you ride with him up through turn number 6, and Bobby Allison would be the national champion if it ended now. If it continues, both of those questions are still in doubt. Well, I can't remember a season that ended quite like this. The weather, everything seems to build and work against Allison when he gets right down to it, doesn't it? Of course, he had a great Atlanta, and Darrell did.
Well, he's had some problems throughout the year, and he's had some good luck and some bad luck, but Bobby's had a good year. Of course, Darrell's had a good year, too, and either one of these guys, if they win the championship, they've really earned it because they both ran hard all year, even with some good luck and bad luck on both sides.
We have some sun out there in turn number 8. Don't mess with Mother Nature. Here is Benny Parsons pulling up to have a word with Tim Richmond. I'd like to converse with you for just a moment, Timothy, about the way you go through turn 6. I'm sure that's what they're talking about at this point. At 85 laps of the race, Allison, having led 1 lap in 9th position, worth 143 points. Waltrip has led 33 laps, is in 3rd place, worth 175 points. And the difference on this race, 32 points. Again, remember, Waltrip was 64 points behind Allison going into the 30th and last race. If the race is stopped now, Bobby Allison will win the national championship for the first time in his 20-year quest by 32 points after 30 races. Here is Jim Roller. Let's go. Let's see if we... Trying to get a word with Jim Roller and Gary Nelson.
We were the last car in the lead lap, and when it started raining and they put out the caution, it was in our best interest to stop, fill up with fuel, get 4 new tires. Then if the race restarts later, all the other cars are going to have to pit, and that'll make us inherit the lead. So, you know, we've been trying to get up front all day without pushing the car. Maybe this will be an opportunity for us to run up front. We feel our car is strong enough, and you know, we're still looking for that Winston Cup, so we're not going to take any chances, and we're going to play it safe.
How hard will he push to move to the front?
Oh, no, as long as the 11 car's still in the race, we're not going to push hard. But if we find ourselves in the front, like if the race restarts and all the other guys pit, then we're going to run a comfortable pace, and we'll fall into a spot, you know, maybe 2nd, 3rd, 1st, wherever it is, and we'll feel a lot better when that happens.
Bobby Allison and crew playing a thinking man's game. Ken, back to you.
Gary Nelson, the crew chief, originally from the West Coast, and he was holding on to his hopes for Bobby Allison to win it today. All the field has been brought to a halt just at the entrance of turn number 9. We'll be back with more of the story of the Winston Western 500 live on Superstation WTBS in a moment. One of the new breed of young lions on the Winston Cup Tour, 28-year-old Ohio native Tim Richmond commands the Winston Western 500, and for the first time today, the sounds of the motors has disappeared. All the cars resting on the back straightaway. There is still a shower, although the wind is blowing mightily, and we may be able to get back to a race condition here. We're waiting for a late word from the NASCAR officials as to whether or not they will try to get further into this race. The laps completed in the event now stand at 85, and there are 34 more laps remaining in this 500-kilometer Winston Western 500 today. Richmond is first. Benny Parsons is second as we are under red after 3 cautions. This is the 4th time there's been a flag thrown in the race. Darrell Waltrip is third. Darrell Waltrip is in 4th. Running in the 5th position is Bill Elliott. 6th is Neil Bonnet. 7th, Labonte. 8th is McGriff. And 9th is Bobby Allison. 1 lap, rather in the lead lap. There's Darrell Waltrip out of his car. Bobby Allison, what will the rain do to your driving strategy here today? Here's what Bobby said.
Well, Darrell, it's been a long, hot summer, and you've had your problems throughout this year, but we've come down to the final race of the season, and you're really not where you'd like to be, but how do you plan to run this final race? I know you got your work cut out for you, because I've been in both situations, but just tell us, what are your plans?
Well, I really don't have any choice. I've got to go out there and try to win the race. I figure if I win the race, I can't really go home too dissatisfied. I will have had the most wins. I've won the pole the most times. I've led the most laps. So that would give me a pretty decent year. I don't really feel like I've got a lot to lose. I'm going to finish second no matter what happens. On the other hand, Bobby's got a lot to lose. He's first, and he could finish second. So I'd say the pressure's on them. We're just going to go race real hard and hope that everything hangs together.
Well, I'm sure you do, but I'm sure there must be some pressure on you, too. You being this close, you know, you're still not out of the championship. You could still win this championship. And it'd really be nice to go through Christmas with the Winston Cup sitting on your mantle at home.
Yeah, I would. And, of course, there's the other thing. You know, you won it 3 times in a row. Nobody else has had that opportunity until now. You don't get those kind of opportunities very often, so I'd like to win it 3rd time in a row. At least I'd make 2 of us that have done it in the same car, which is kind of appropriate. But, and there's no denying the fact that the most important thing to me out here this week is to win the championship. The race is feasible to win for all of us, but the championship, there's only 2 of us that can win it. I'd like to be able to go home a 3-time champion. Like you said, Christmas, when I got that other trophy up there and all those things that go with it, that'd sure be nice to put under the Christmas tree.
Well, there he is, and that sure was not the rain strategy of Robert Allison. That was Caleb Yarborough with Darrell Waltrip on winning this championship and what it all would mean. And Darrell is now talking with some members of the crew. They cannot work on the car at this juncture as we are under a red condition and waiting for word from the NASCAR officials as to the outcome of this running of the Winston Western 500. Bobby Allison in 9th position now with car number 22, 3-time winner of this event. And there you see him sitting in his car, taking a deep breath. And let's go to Jim Roller with him. Try to get a word if we can with Bobby Allison.
And yet, you still got to wait to see. How's your car running? They told us in the pits you're having some minor problems. Have they gotten that straightened out for you?
Well, the car's running really good.
We have a malfunction here with our microwave unit from the back straightaway, and let's go quickly to Dave Despain.
Well, no malfunctions down here, Ken. We're with a former winner of this race, a 2-time Grand National race winner here, and he's the only Winston West driver ever to accomplish that. Ray Elder, the racing farmer from Carruthers, California. Have you got a favorite here today?
Not really. You know, I'd possibly be pulling for Bobby a little bit because he's had so many second places, and, you know, he's run hard for so many years. I'd kind of like to see him win the championship.
You must also watch the Winston West race within a race very closely here today, and there have been problems for the 2 front runners. Bill Schmidt and Robinson have both had problems here.
Right, yeah, I see that Bill come in real early and, you know, makes it tough with just 1 race to go, because I know they both want to win it.
As a Californian, any predictions about the weather here, or are we going to get the rest of this race in?
I kind of think we're going to get it in. It looks like it's breaking. It's not heavy rain. We just got some showers. I think we're going to see the finish of it.
Ray Elder, the 6-time Winston West champion, thinks we will get this race finished. A further note, Ken, on that Bobby Allison story, Robert Yates, the engine builder, says yes, the engine was skipping. They think the reason might be because they were loping along at very low speed under yellow, and that was an additional reason why Allison was the only driver to pit at the outset of this weather-induced yellow flag. They wanted to get all the way to the back of the field to give Allison an opportunity, if the green came back out, to run the car wide open and see if they couldn't clean it out and get him back up into contention. Bobby Allison at this point in good shape to win the championship. Back to you, Ken.
Jim Roller is still trying to get a message from him, and there's some of the fans from over in North Carolina who've come all the way out here and has some very serious and deep feelings about car number 11. That is turn 6 area. Let's go to Jim Roller right now.
Bobby Allison, it seems like somebody up there is torturing you. Just keep dangling that carrot in front of you. We're at the halfway point. How you feeling about your chances?
Well, we're still trying real hard. We've had a world of problems already. We've had to change tires 4 times due to me running over something on the track or something. I don't know what's going wrong, but I think I'm running where everybody else is, but we've had 4 flats already, and that's really hurt us. But we got down a lap, we were able to make that back up, and now we're riding back here where we feel safe, where our original game plan said we ought to do, and I'm trying not to run the car too hard. It's really performing great, and under other circumstances, I feel I could be leading the race. But I'm about punchy over all the problems.
What's the strategy for the rest of the race, barring any more problems? Do you just hang tight here? You're going to try and move up a little bit more, maybe, to secure an even tighter position in case you do have more problems?
Well, we don't have to move up any, but we need to avoid the problems from here on to the end. We just somehow gotta survive that, and I'm just hoping that maybe they're behind us now.
Well, Bobby, the Winston Cup is close, and it's just a few more laps to go, and we'll find out if Bobby Allison can do it. Ken?
Oh, that's got to be an anxious time for Robert Vance Allison from Hueytown, Alabama, in car number 22. Winner of 79 Grand National races. Again, to update you, he has led 1 lap. He is in 9th position with 143 points. Waltrip led 33 laps. I don't think he's led the most laps today. He's in 3rd place with 175 points. The difference 32. Now remember that Waltrip needed 64 points. He was 64 points behind Allison going into the race. So if they stop the race right now, it is a difference of 32 points, and Bobby Allison is the national champion. And they sit there waiting. Now there's another battle. The Champion Spark Plug Rookie of the Year battle has been going on all season long, and currently that one has really heated up. The Sterling Marlin team, Roger Hamby's car, had started the season and looked like they were just going to go for it and blow everybody off. He's currently 18th, 3 laps down, and the car number 48 of Trevor Boyce, who is from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, driving right now in the James Hilton car, he is running 26. And I know there's a lot of fans around the country interested in that Champion Spark Plug rookie battle. That's the story there in the race. 18th currently in this event belongs to car number 17, which is Sterling Marlin from Columbia, Tennessee, son of the old alfalfa farmer and racer Cuckoo Marlin. And back there is Trevor Boyce, a fine young racer from the Dominion of Canada. Attrition, 14 cars out. Insolo, Schmidt, Joe Ruttman, Rick McRae, Ron Esau, Dick Brooks, Morgan Shepard, Roy Smith, Jim Bound, Ricky Rudd, Harry Gant, John Krebs, Ronnie Thomas, and Pat Mente have found this race not to their liking at all. Again, let's go to Jim Roller, who is over there with the crews on that entrance to turn number 9.
Darrell, you ran so strong in the beginning. You're still up there with the leaders fairly well. Can you move up to the front and take the lead in this race?
When the time comes, we're still I run well for a while. We had a little bit of gearbox problem. I can't downshift going into turn 9 here. I'm having to go in high gear and then shift up off the corner, but nothing that's really a hindrance right now. I just don't want to fool around here and knock myself out of the race, so I'm holding back just a little bit until we see what's going to happen.
Now, what about this delay? I mean, you're running in the race, and your concentration level is at a certain peak, and then all of a sudden you have to stop and just sit for 20 minutes. What's that going to do to things?
Nothing. No big deal. It'll just give the cars a chance to take a rest, I guess, and it gives everybody a chance to think about what they're going to do the next 30 laps. We'll be able to come in and top the cars off with gasoline, put new tires on, and should be able to go the distance. So from that standpoint of view, I guess it'll be good. We'll know where we're going to finish anyway. We're pretty close to it.
All right, Dale Waltrip still thinks he's got a good chance to win this race, Ken.
And imbibing on a diet soda as he gets ready to go once again. The sun is out another time here at the start-finish line. I think we're going to get it going. Waltrip has led 33 laps. The man who has led the second most laps, Benny Parsons at 29. Richard Petty at 10. Bobby Allison has led 1, as has Ricky Rudd. Back with more in a moment. Live from Riverside, California, the Winston Western 500. And if there is a villain here, he lurks in those clouds. He's been bespattering this track through 5 hours this morning, and now he's come back, and we have a hold condition on the race. We've been down approximately 15 minutes. All the cars are lined up on the back straightaway. The wind is continuing to dry out the track here, but the question is, can they get much more racing in before they have darkness? Well, they can indeed, but it will be a question with Bill Gazaway. There's Bill France down there as to how much further they can go. We've run races into darkness out here on the coast. You see Bill France Jr. taking a look on the outside of turn 6 as to what the conditions are. Boy, they did a great job of getting this track straightened out in less than an hour this morning. There are the standings. Tim Richmond is leading. Benny Parsons in second. Darrell Waltrip is in third. Earnhardt is fourth. Elliott is fifth. And backing that up in sixth is Neil Bonnet. If there is a hero at the moment, it's the man up in front, and it is Tim Richmond, and Jim Roller is there now.
Of late, Tim Richmond has owned Riverside International Raceway. You won 2 last year, and you charged up from the back of the pack here. You've got to be pleased with your position right now.
Well, I don't think we can improve it any better unless we take it to victory lane, but it don't look like we're going to get to this soon. The rain's quit, and it looks like we're going to have to go back to racing, which is okay, but I'd rather go to victory lane now.
What about this delay? Is it any kind of a bother for you?
Well, it is in a way. If we could have kept going under green and maybe stretched the distance between myself and Benny, we could maybe made a little bit easier pit stop, just got some fuel in it and went the rest of the distance. But now it's closed everybody back up, and it's going to be a little tough now.
You've had to push the car pretty hard to move up through the field. How's it holding up?
Well, it's holding up pretty good. The only thing that's not holding up is this right hand where I've been shifting. It's raw under this glove right now. I think we can make it, though. I'm not sure.
We all have a special appreciation for what you're doing for us at TBS Sports, carrying our onboard camera. How's it feel to be a race driver and a cameraman and everything else all in one day?
Well, it feels pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to get operator pay or not for moving the camera around, but no, I've enjoyed it. And I just hope we get to have the shot with the camera pulling into victory lane. That's the only thing I'm hoping for right now. And while we're here, I want to say hi to everybody, all my friends back in Ashland, Ohio, and Mom and Dad. I don't know I got this yet, but I'm sure they know now. And all my friends down in North Carolina and Florida and you name it. I just want to say hi and hope I do it for y'all.
Now, you do want to go to victory lane, and it's going to take some work yet. You said they've closed up the field. What's the strategy? What's the plan for the rest of the race?
Well, I'm not sure. We've turned our radios off to save the batteries on them, but the last thing I heard from Tim Brewer, our crew chief, was that we can't go the rest of the way with our fuel that we have right now. We're going to have to make a fuel stop. Now, whether we change tires or not is up to Tim. I'm not sure what we'll do in that situation, but we probably are going to have to stop, put some fuel in it and go back to racing, and just hopefully we'll have the same car we had when we went back out or better, and everybody else's will stay the same or get worse to try to make it easy or easier or whatever. It hadn't been easy up till now. It's been a battle, that's for sure.
You've done so well here at Riverside in the last few races. Is there some special advantage you might have? Is there something that you like that's special about Riverside?
Just being crazy, I guess. The crazier you are, the faster you can go here, I imagine.
Well, the crazy man's out front right now. Tim Richmond. Back to you, Ken.
And they're saying, let's go. So they're buckling up. Tim Richmond, let's take a look at how he took the lead. And how he took it was one of the most remarkable moves we've ever seen in turn 6. Here it is, and Cale Yarborough, as they moved up, they're coming into turn 6, and here he is down to the inside in a place where you usually don't pass. And he just thunders through. Thank you. I'll take a little piece of the door, small piece of the front fender. And Tim Richmond was on his way. And one more. Yes, just for good luck. Talk about a sport that is body contact. He certainly changed the body, put a few rumples in the wrinkles in car number 55 as Tim Richmond took the lead from Benny Parsons, who is now in second. We're getting set for a start. There's brightness here at the start-finish line. Let's go to the STP Pit Center and Dave Despain.
Well, it's been an up-and-down day weather-wise. Right now it is very up. The sun is shining brightly, and the drivers have been ordered back to their cars. Let's recap a little bit where we stand. First of all, we'll start with Darrell Waltrip, who came here needing to win the race, set the track record, sat on the pole, but has since had problems. Junior Johnson, his famed crew chief, is standing fast by his policy. He won't talk to reporters during the race, except for our Jerry Garrett, who did get a word with Junior. What did Junior have to say about Darrell's chances, Jerry?
Well, Junior says he's racking his brain trying to figure out some way that he can help Darrell fix this problem with the shifter jumping out of high gear. He hasn't figured anything out. He told Darrell over the radio, I think you're just going to have to live with it, Darrell.
Nonetheless, Waltrip is of the opinion that he can go to the front, or at least that's what he told our Jim Roller. He is currently in third place. Let us go back now. We are looking for a restart of this race very soon. Let's go back to Ken Squire.
Wouldn't a dead battery make for an interesting situation here? The field is getting ready for a start another time. Bill Francis Jr. has been up in turn number 6. You saw him up there. They've had a squadron of safety cars on the track to try and dry it out. And now they are saying they're getting ready for a go. There is a lot of water right here at the start-finish line on the outside of the track. And car number 11, Waltrip, being pushed, trying to get it to work. Darrell Waltrip's number 11 firing and getting away. Let me review a little further back in the field for you now as we get ready for a go. 10th is Petty. 11th is Wisconsin's Dave Marcus. 12th is Massachusetts' Ron Bouchard. 13th is Kyle Petty. 14th is Donnie Allison. 15th is the West Coast driver Randy Becker. In the 16th position, now 2 laps down, is Doug Wheeler. 17th is Sterling Marlin. 18th is Buddy Baker. Running 19th is Alabama's Jimmy Means. 20th is the Chrysler product with Buddy Arrington. 21st is Sumner McKnight. 22nd, Don Waterman. 23rd, Scott Miller. 24th, Jim Robinson. 25th, Glenn Francis. 26th, Trevor Boyce. 27th, J.D. McDuffie, who was able to get his car back together and run, followed by Ronnie Thomas. That's the story at this moment. You can see number 11 way up on the pit road area. That's right at the entrance back onto the track, just across the start-finish line, and that's a 4-tire change, Cale, that they're pulling on that car. As we take a look at the leader for a moment, now back, they've done the left side, they're doing the right side on car number 11.
Well, everybody's taking on 4 tires now and a full tank of fuel, Ken. They should be able to go the distance now, and everybody seems to think this will be the last stop, so they're doing everything they can.
John Cooper, the president of ACUS, was just here a moment ago, and he was the one that said, what a moment for a battery not to work and have one of those cars just lie there. Have you ever had that happen, Cale?
Well, sometimes, yeah, you know, these things happen, but I saw him pushing Waltrip's car off. I think maybe the car just sitting there cooling down probably just wouldn't crank. I don't think the battery was dead.
Talk about dramatic moments in racing. Well, we're certainly having them here today. A great performance from Benny Parsons, the favorite of so many racing enthusiasts throughout America. The former Detroit driver from Ellerbe, North Carolina, doing a magnificent job of the Johnny Hayes car. And Tim Richmond just charging for the 26th position, giving you those great action pictures as he thundered through the field. Waltrip sustaining third spot. You heard what he said to Jim Roller. He's out there now, just settling down, waiting this race out, getting ready to make the drive. He has some problems in the car, has some problems shifting going into turn 9. Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt, those 2 Ford drivers, Earnhardt 4th, Elliott 5th. They stay very much in the hunt. They are in the lead lap, and this race is far from over. Neil Bonnet, you can never discount Bonnet. He is running 6th, and for my money, he's as good as there is in the business today, Cale.
Well, Neil's been doing a good job. He hadn't run up front like he usually does here. Neil gets around this racetrack awful well, but he's still in the hunt, as you say, and anything can happen. Now, we were talking to Darrell a little while ago. Now, he doesn't seem to be real concerned about that transmission problem, because he seems to think when time comes to go, he can go. We just have to wait and see.
He played it very low-key in that interview. He just seemed almost to overdo being relaxed.
Well, he could be covering up, right?
Hard moment for Darrell Waltrip. So much there. They say that champion is worth some $500,000. disregard the $150,000, which you certainly can't from the Winston people. But beyond that, in the ancillary right that one gains from winning such a race, it's really important to a driver. Now we're watching 55, Parsons, the leader, or second place, pit. He is in. Field coming around. Benny Parsons, who's been up here in the thick of the hunt. 9 is in. Bill Elliott, Neil Bonnet is pitting. And pretty much a regular assemblage of the rest of the field is getting in here for service. They know they're going to have to go for it here, Cale.
Right, the sun's come out, the wind's blowing, it's going to dry this racetrack off, and we're going to finish this race under green.
At issue, counting laps. These are counting laps under yellow once again.
Right, these laps are counted, and as soon as they get everything done, everybody makes their pit stops, I feel like the racetrack will be dry again, and we'll be back under green.
Southland car, number 7 for Kyle Petty, and they had a small snarl on the back of that car, and now they're away. They got caught. Let's go to Dave Despain down there at the pit center.
Let's recap where we stand here as we prepare for the restart of this race. Darrell Waltrip is currently in 3rd spot in the race. He, having started on the pole but encountered and checked that transmission problem, the car continues to jump out of gear. Ricky Rudd, winner of the spring race here, started 2nd, blew the engine. Terry Labonte is in 7th place. He started 3rd. After a horrendous crash at turn 9 here a year ago, he has come back marvelously. His problem today is with the brakes on the car, which are so critical on this 9-turn course. They're having brake trouble. That's dropped him back to 7th spot. The hometown boy, Joe Ruttman, out, blown engine. Benny Parsons, perhaps the story of this race. We told you earlier he was qualified 5th. He started 45th because of a problem on the grid. The rules specify he had to move back. He came all the way through to lead the race. Then that mystery smoke that showed up for about 10 laps and just as mysteriously went away. Benny Parsons, now your 2nd place man. Here's the man everybody's watching. That's Bobby Allison. Allison is currently 9th in the running order. The key story here is that Allison stopped and got 4 tires and fuel at the yellow flag, which preceded the red flag. He was the only man who came in. All of the leaders, anticipating that the race might not get restarted, stayed on the track to hold their position. Allison came in, he got tires and fuel, and can now run the distance in this race. As everybody else makes their pit stop, he's going to move up in the running order. Bobby Allison in good shape to win the championship. Harry Gant, blown engine. Richard Petty, struggling a little bit. He's back in 10th spot. Dale Earnhardt has made a good charge up to 4th. We're looking at lap 89 as we get ready to restart this Western 500. The weather right now, couldn't complain a bit. Looks like Southern California. Bright sunshine, little breeze blowing. It's nice and warm. It is nothing like what we saw earlier here today when the rains were pouring down. We're in good shape with a dry racetrack, and very soon we should be back to green flag racing conditions and the exciting conclusion of this dramatic 1983 Winston Cup Championship stock car season. Ken?
The song says it doesn't rain in Southern California. You can't prove it by these folks. Here is a field moving into turn number 9, and those are back marker cars. Those are some of the cars that are down a lap or 2 as we get ready for resumption of the last race of the year, the Winston Western 500. We mentioned that John Cooper, the president of ACRIS, is standing by. Motor Week Illustrated, 5:35 to 6:05 each Saturday over Superstation WTBS, and in the upcoming weeks, interview with John Cooper as to what's going to happen to American racing from the man who presides over that prestigious position of the 5 sanctioning bodies with a vote in international motorsports politics. That's with Dave Despain, Motor Week Illustrated, in the upcoming weeks. We have a new leader after the pit stops. We have 2 cars coming by that are lap cars. One of them is Buddy Arrington. The second is Scott Miller. And then comes the leader. And the leader, lo and behold, is number 15, Dale Earnhardt. The Bud Moore Ford Thunderbird is now the leader in the event. They swap them around, and it will be 15 in front. Tim Richmond is relegated to second after the pit stops following the red flag period. This race was held for 22 minutes, 8 seconds, and then the cars were released. These caution laps are counting laps. The 3rd position on the field is being shown as Darrell Waltrip, and hold the phone in 4th position, number 22, Bobby Allison. Laps complete. We have it as 88 and 31 remaining now in the event. Let's talk about the Grand National schedule. Of course, this is the last race of the year. Then it's on to Daytona in February for the great Daytona 500, which Cale Yarborough won last year in that great dramatic charge. And then live on Superstation WTBS, we'll bring you one of the most rugged races there is, Richmond 400 at the Richmond Fairgrounds. Cale, you and I were there to see Bobby win last year, and they really like to work on each other. That's old-fashioned racing. Then comes the Carolina 500 in March at Rockingham, North Carolina, a race that was instrumental in building us this great finish this year. Rockingham, an exceedingly fine track, Mr. L.G. DeWitt. Those are three of the events that kick off the 1984 campaign for some $10 million and the prestigious Winston Cup. So, as matters stand, it's Earnhardt for first, and we have a Ford product up in front, and we have Tim Richmond in a Pontiac running in second. The last time we'll see that particular model Pontiac de Le Mans in competition. Waltrip now in third, Allison right behind him, and as Allison sits, if all goes well, the national championship, after coming second 5 times and trying for 20 years, will be his. So in the point battle now, it would be Allison's easily. If he can stay right where he is, he has Darrell Waltrip just in front of him. There you see the point system that awards 175 points for first, and then there are 5-point intervals dropping back over the front 6 positions. After that, it tightens up a bit, and they award 4-point intervals further back in the field. Then it goes to 3 points, and there are bonuses. If you lead a lap, you get 5 points. If you lead the most laps in the race, there is an additional 5-point bonus. Cale, how do you feel about that point system?
Well, it's a little bit complicated, Ken. You know, I think the points should be distributed maybe by money won.
100 to win.
Right. I always thought that the man that won the most money had the best year, and he should be the champion.
Speaking on behalf of the PGA, this is Cale Yarborough with us today, folks. Dale Earnhardt is in command of this race. How much money have you earned this year? Posted awards, I'm speaking.
I don't know. I haven't seen the final rundown, but I wouldn't have won the championship either way.
I'll call your wife and talk to the bank.
She can tell you.
All right, there you see the Bud Moore crew standing by. Bud Moore, a veteran of so many years, Purple Heart winner back in World War II in the German front, and a great car builder, has had so many great drivers over the years. Field coming by. He now has Earnhardt in front. This is the last time we're going to see Dale Earnhardt in this car. He moves on to a new team in 1984 when they go to Daytona in February.
He sure does. Dale Earnhardt will be driving the car of Richard Childress next year, and I think they'll make a good team. Of course, Darrell and Bud's had a good relationship. They've won a lot of races, but Dale wants to make a move, and he's going to be with Richard Childress next year.
Weather has raised havoc with this race. It rained just gutters full this morning. We were able to get the race started about an hour late. We've now had a go 43 for Richard Petty. Fans all over the country, no matter how controversial his 198th win will be, I think he stands taller with his fans today than ever, Cale.
Well, he, you know, Richard has come out of this thing on top, I guess. You still see the signs. You still hear everybody hollering for Richard Petty, so I guess it hadn't hurt him a bit.
Ronnie Thomas, number 41, who did a semi-retirement, is back on the track, and he is sandwiched between the two leaders, Earnhardt and Richmond. Now, when they line up as they come out of turn 8, and you can see how wet that part of the course is, and that's such a difficult and treacherous part of this course. Some people don't give enough attention to those S's, but you get in trouble there, and you can really buy the farm.
Well, you sure can, Ken. You know, turn 9 and some of the other turns that you can aim for and make the right, get the right line in is not near as bad as those turn S's. You go in there and you can slip one little slip and you're messed up all the way through the S's. So those S's pretty well have to be dry before they can start this race back.
The laps complete, and these are counting laps. We are now at 89 complete, and there remain 30 laps to go. And there will be green. And live here on Superstation WTBS, you'll see the finale to the season. This has been a hard day on the competitors, but we're getting set for that final sprint, that final run to decide it all for 1983.
Well, there's the story, the laps remaining. Most of the safety equipment has been brought in, and we're getting race ready here at Riverside, California to conclude 1983. Dale Earnhardt in front, then a lap car followed by Tim Richmond in second. Waltrip and Allison running nose to tail now with Parsons in fifth, Bonnet in sixth, and it will be a sprint with 9 cars in the lead lap to decide it all. Let's go to the STP Pit Center and Dave Despain.
9 cars on the lead lap and 29 cars in the race. Attrition has taken its toll here today. 16 retirees. The 29 cars include Tommy Gale and Ronnie Thomas. They took advantage of the red flag to put their cars back together again and put them back into the race. One guy who's been out there campaigning valiantly all day is Mr. Bill Elliott. We're showing him in 6th spot right now. A victory in this race would be worth $250,000 to Bill Elliott. Let me explain to you why. There's something called the Winner's Circle program in NASCAR racing, and everybody who wins a race and thus gets into the Winner's Circle program picks up $150,000 to help them get through the following season. There is also a Union Oil point fund for which Bill Elliott is eligible only if he can win the race. That's another $50,000. Add the race prize money, and it could be a $250,000 payday for the kid from Dalton, Georgia, whose racing team is a family affair. His brother is the crew chief. His other brother works on the crew. They picked up some sponsorship this year, but it's essentially one of the lowest dollar teams out there. The interesting thing is that Bill Elliott's pit crew last year won the pit crew competition. Total composite time on pit road all season long. Didn't go to one of the famed teams, the Johnsons, the Wood Brothers, those organizations. It went to this little country organization from up in Dawsonville, Georgia. Bill Elliott's crew won that competition a year ago. They're back here trying to win it again this year, but more importantly, they'd sure like to win the Western 500. They've never won a Grand National race. Back upstairs, Ken.
They would like to win anything, David. They've come second on 8 occasions, and they keep just getting that close, and then it slips away from them. Dahlonega Ford, it's called, and they are owned by a Ford agency. Now, everybody thinks that's a big deal until you find out that his dad is the chief and only salesman and is also the gentleman in charge of the support for the getting cars repaired, and his mother is the bookkeeper and sometimes works as a salesman on Saturday afternoon, we're told. But they have built this car, and the 2 brothers are the pit crew on that number 9 of Bill Elliott. All right, the Wrangler car is getting ready to come in. Car number 15 is going to make a quick pit stop. He's in. He'll fall to the tail end of that lead lap and puts Richmond back in front. And I must tell you that there is another frog swallower of a storm developing behind us, coming in from the west. And when this one hits, it's going to look like the Johnstown flood around here. The Grand National Stock Car Series, now known as the Winston Cup Series, came out here way back when. 1958's the first time they ran, and Kyle Petty was, Lee Petty was in it. 2 more laps and they're going to be racing. 3rd generation driver out here. Kyle Petty, his grandfather was here. His dad is up against him today. For the past 14 years, the awarding the Winston Cup to NASCAR's Grand National Champion has symbolized the most important and richest motorsports title in the nation. And we're going to see it decided here on Superstation WTBS live today. And there is the weather. If that doesn't look like 2001.
I hope they can get this track dried out soon, Ken, and let's get this thing back underway, because it really looks bad. Those are really dark clouds back there, and I guarantee there's some water in there.
Well, it has really raised havoc with the race. Our cameras have had a few problems today, but they've come through in great shape and given you great pictures of this race to decide it all. Here's Richmond in front. And there is now Darrell Waltrip into 2nd place. Bobby Allison, I believe, will lie 3rd in your picture as they wheel down through there. There's a lap car on the inside, and that's Sterling Marlin. And there's Bobby Allison's car pulling up. Bobby Allison pulled up on the outside to see what it looked like on that particular groove. He's probably wanting to know just where he wants to run, and they dropped that flag.
Yeah, he looked like he might have been saying something to Darrell. I don't know.
Let's surround him. Maybe if we surround him, we can put him in a cage. At Tim Richmond, boy, he is something. He just flew through the traffic. At the start, he had everybody up, and he has been uncageable. You can't, when he's on, as he was earlier this year at Pocono, he was just about unstoppable. Here he is, coming down, leading this race. The old Milwaukee car, and they are indicating 1 to go. Harold Kinder flagman now for several years with the Winston Cup Tour. Out in fourth, Benny Parsons. At fifth spot, Neil Bonnet. Neil picked up some sagebrush on the front of his car. Looked like he was taking home a Christmas tree early for a while in the going. Got that cleaned out. Bill Elliott lies sixth. Can anybody deal with Richmond, or does he have them covered? Remember that number 11, Waltrip, set a record in qualifying. Richmond's in front, getting ready for a start. Let's go quickly to Dave Despain.
As we work lap 93 here, looking for a 119-lap race, my prediction is we won't run very long, Ken. We've been watching a huge black cloud develop behind this racetrack. It was blowing across the track. The wind has shifted. It's coming head-on our way. It's going to rain again before this one is over. That could decide the Grand National Championship. Jerry Garrett has been in the Bobby Allison pit, where that fuel system story continues to be very interesting. What's going on there, Jerry?
Well, Dave, they've got the entire fuel system, every part you could need from the fuel tank all the way up to the carburetor laid out there on the ground, ready to change if they have to, if this fuel problem recurs. They think at full throttle it'll go away. That's what they're hoping, but they don't know. They're prepared.
That engine has been missing during the yellow flags. They're concerned there may be a problem. They've got all the replacement parts there. I think the key story down here, Ken, is the weather. I don't think we're going to go 119 laps. We're ready for a restart.
And we have it. And Waltrip in the 11 goes down through the speedy dry, and he's taking the lead. Darrell Waltrip is thrusting car number 11 back in front. Here comes Richmond. Allison has the championship won if he can keep running. But if anything should go wrong on car number 22, it could be Waltrip to win the title, and right now the race itself. Darrell Waltrip, he may be having trouble keeping that car in high gear at turn 9, but he sure didn't that time. He's out in front by 4 car lengths. Second place car is Tim Richmond. Third is Bobby Allison, and Allison has the championship handled if he can stay there.
Benny Parsons has moved into third, and he's gaining on Richmond some now.
Benny Parsons moving around Allison, picking up a spot. Here they come, and here comes Parsons. Front 3 all together. Let's see if Richmond will make another move at 6. He takes a look at the inside and pulls back. There's the 4th place car, Allison, as they slide out of turn 6 and head for turn 8. And here comes Richmond back on the inside as they go into turn number 8. Tim Richmond goes back in front. Bobby Allison is in the 4th position. Darrell Waltrip now back to 2nd, and in 3rd, number 55, Benny Parsons. The front 4 down that long back straightaway. Another time, here comes the horsepower of the Junior Johnson number 11, being matched by the number 27. The Tim Brewer crude car stays in front. Here they are. Waltrip moving in, looking like he may go for a pass at turn 9. Down they thunder into turn number 9 with Richmond in front, Waltrip in 2nd. There you see in 3rd, Benny Parsons. Right behind him, it is Bobby Allison. Junior Johnson looking stoically on as the field moves down to complete still another lap. "25 laps, 25 laps. Waltrip has to go for it. He has to win and hope that something happens to Allison that keeps him out of the front 15. There's Bobby Allison seeking that national championship.
Ken, Bobby's just sitting back there riding and looking. I don't think he has any intentions of getting up in there and fighting with those guys, but he's got them right in his sights.
Well, he runs in 4th. Back in 5th is Neil Bonnet, and in 6th, it's still maintained by Bill Elliott with McGriff 7th, Labonte 8th, and Earnhardt is driving up through. Earnhardt is on the move. He may be picking up a couple. We'll check them this time by. You could just see Earnhardt on the top of your frame, and he came out attacking. Laps running down. There is Richmond in front.
He's stretching it out.
Live on WTBS down to the finale. You can see Neil Bonnet back there. Neil Bonnet running at 5th position. It's still Richmond in front, and now you see how close he is to Darrell Waltrip in the number 11 car. Remember, as you look at Raymond Beadle looking on, that Richmond won both races at Riverside a year ago. He won the June race as well as this event. Front 3 cars stay within a half second of each other. Now Bill Elliott in number 9 has moved around Neil Bonnet. Bill Elliott moves into 5th. That pushes Bonnet back to 6th. Labonte lies 7th. Back they go through the S's into turn 6. This is where Richmond has shown tremendous strength today. Bobby Allison with 25 laps left just stays there in 4th.
He's hanging right in there, and looks like Benny may be closing up a little bit on Darrell now, so I look for Benny Parson to be a strong contender when he gets everything worked out here, and because he ran real strong a few laps ago, and now he looks like he may be going to make a move on Darrell Waltrip here shortly.
Front 4. With Allison in 4th, currently commanding the championship battle for the Winston Cup. Behind Allison, Bill Elliott is now 5th, and Elliott is closing on Allison. Bill Elliott in the 9 car is closing up on Bill Elliott. Here are your leaders through lap traffic. Richmond, relentless, charging all day. He hasn't got out of it yet, except for 22 minutes, 8 seconds, when he took a long breather and had a nice talk with Jim Roller. You would think going up over that ripple strip would just ripple that car, at least beat up those A-frames, but they're built to take it. 3,700 pounds of race car at Pontiac, staying in front through 6. Waltrip, Parsons, Allison, front 4.
You got to remember, Ken, when you make those, when you run across those ripples, you hit them with the inside of the car, and there's not much weight on the inside of the car at that particular time, so it doesn't do as much damage as you would think it would do.
5th spot, Elliott. 6th spot, Bonnet. 7th, Labonte. Earnhardt has picked up 1. He's passed McGriff. Earnhardt came in for a late pit stop. He had been leading. And as they were ready to go, he decided to go back to 9th and try to fight his way through again. Last ride for Dale Earnhardt in the Bud Moore car. The advantage is just about 6 car lengths for Tim Richmond in the number 27, the old Milwaukee car, over number 11 in 2nd. Here he is right up to the wall.
Ken, this will also be the last ride for Neil Bonnet in that number 75 car, too. He next year becomes a teammate to Darrell Waltrip.
Number 9, Elliott is closing on Allison. Number 9. And number 15 is closing on 44. 15, Dale Earnhardt is moving in for 7th place. Earnhardt has really pulled up on the Terry Labonte car as he tries to pick up one more spot. Meanwhile, Richmond seems to be drawing away. Now there are 21 laps to go. Now there is Bobby Allison, and right behind him comes Bill Elliott, back with the leaders. Richmond, Waltrip, Parsons, then the fight for 4th. There is Bobby Allison, and here comes the Huckleberry Finn of American Motor Racing, car number 9, Bill Elliott of Dawsonville, Georgia. Threatening clouds continuing to build up right behind the racetrack. Here's Elliott making a move, and Elliott is going through. Allison willing to let him go.
I don't believe he tried to stop him at all, Ken. I think Bobby should rather give up that one spot there right now than take a chance on giving up the championship.
20 years he's worked for it. It's within his grasp. All it has to do is stay together, and Bobby Allison is the national champion. His wife is here, his dad and mother, one of his good friends. Now there's the crew, and you can see on the headset one of his brothers for Bill Elliott monitoring the performance of car number 9. Back to the leaders. Richmond. He may be a nice guy, but he's heartless on a racetrack, isn't he? But that's what it takes.
That's what it takes, especially for a place like this. You've got to attack this racetrack if you're going to beat it.
There's Waltrip in 2nd. Waltrip needs that lead. And look at Richmond. He nearly collected the wall earlier in the race.
He's got it on the ragged edge every lap. And I think the reason for that right now is all these dark clouds you see. He knows he needs to be there right now.
Remember the stories about Andretti at Daytona 1967 when it looked for all the world like at any moment he was going to throw the race away and throw the car away, and he came home the winner. Well, that's what Richmond gives you about every time out these days. Let's go to Jim Roller.
One person who's rooting for rain here at Riverside is Pops Allison. Bobby's closer than he's ever been before to that Grand National title. How do you feel right about now? Right now, I got butterflies. Butterflies in your stomach. I bet you're rooting for some rain, aren't you? No, he's doing all right. As long as he can keep up like he is, he'll come out all right. If he wins today, if he wins this title today, it'll probably be one of the happiest days of your life, won't it? Right. Yeah, I've been around a long time, and I don't get butterflies, but I got them today. Pops Allison, everybody down here is anxious right now. They're close. They're closing in on the Winston Cup title.
Pops Allison, who is the leader of what they call the Peach Fuzz gang down in Alabama, he has taken over his grandson's racing efforts and sort of runs the team. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Really hopes it doesn't rain is Bill Elliott's crew. They say the car is running extremely well. Their strategy from here, stand on it. Run that car absolutely as hard as it can possibly run. Recall, $250,000 rests at stake for this team.
100 laps complete. There are 19, actually less than that, left in the event. And there is Bobby Allison, so close to that goal he has tried to attain so many times. 5 times has been there, but not at the top. Just 1 point down, 1 spot back. Now he has a chance of winning it all. He has Waltrip within his sights. He just has to run out the race and pray that nothing goes amiss. That 4th place car is now Elliott, and indeed, he is charging to try to catch Benny Parsons. He'll take all comers at this point. Meanwhile, up in front, slithering and sliding out of turn number 9, this is number 27, Richmond, still at it.
Dale Earnhardt just got Terry Labonte going in turn 9.
So that puts Dale Earnhardt into the 7th position, relegates Labonte to 8th. It has been an unusual day. It has been a weather day, and we have seen some leaders that we did not expect out here today. Benny Parsons with the Jackson brothers. Johnny Hayes' car gave just an outstanding performance. And Kelly Yarborough moments ago. There's Bill Elliott in number 9, your 4th place car, trying to close up. He is trying to close on Parsons right now. That Johnny Hayes team came alive today and came to the West Coast fully prepared to try to take this one home. Lurching over the curbing comes number 27. Richmond in front, Waltrip in 2nd, Parsons in 3rd. There you see them on that 3,500-foot back straightaway. Allison in 4th, or rather, Elliott in 4th and in 5th. Here is Allison, and right behind him comes Neil Bonnet, the man that Bobby Allison coached and brought along. Allison gave him a car, and Bonnet rewarded Allison by winning something like 63 races. Here is Bobby Allison in number 22 approaching the 9th turn. Laps running away. Down to about 17 to go. There's the leader across the line. And Neil Bonnet is indeed closing up on Bobby Allison. He'll try to put him back to 5th. That's okay with Allison. He doesn't want to get into a rumble with anyone at this point of the race. Richmond, on the other hand, he continues to run this race, scattering those turns, just sliding through them from side to side. There he is out of 6th, coming up on a back marker. Around him, well, you would think this was the races to end all races for Tim Richmond the way he's going here.
Well, he's still seeing those dark clouds, Ken, I'm sure, and he knows that he needs to be right where he is.
And they are continuing to build and develop right behind us. Thus far, nothing on the track. Richard Petty, line 10th, Bouchard 11th, Marcus 12th. They are all 1 lap down for the leaders. 9 cars remain in the lead lap. There's your leader, Tim Richmond, Ashland, Ohio. 28 years old, and here's Benny Parsons, number 55, the 3rd place car. Benny has had just an outstanding day, led a lot of this race, has had 59 laps in the lead in this battle, and there's a little smoke out of the back of his car. Here's Richmond in the 38. The car in front of the 38 car. He's trying to put him a lap down. I believe that's the 35. That's the Pat Minte car he's about to put a lap down. Richmond in front. 16 laps to go.
That's a long way here, Ken. Anything can happen.
2.6 miles around this 9-turn course. Live on Superstation WTVS, you are watching Richmond try to make it 2 in a row in the Winston Western 500, trying to take it home. And you are also seeing Bobby Allison so close, right on the edge. Car just has to keep running. But if it should fail here, Waltrip has a mathematical shot at the national title one more time. 3 times in a row for him. The only other man to do it 3 times successively is Cale Yarborough alongside. And now Neil Bonnet has moved around car number 22. Bonnet, 22, has just moved around and taken 5th. Rather, taken number 75, Bonnet, has moved around to take 5th, and 22 is back to 6th. Allison here is in 6th position. Bobby Allison in the 6th spot. And there he is. There is number 75, Neil Bonnet, and right behind him is Allison. 5th and 6th place battlers.
Ken, I don't think Bobby wants to race with anybody. When anybody gets close to him, he lets them go, which is a very smart race. He knows that he can't take any chances. He can't run side by side with anybody around this racetrack, because anything could happen, and he's playing it very smart.
There's the 27 car up in front. Car number 27 into turn 8 another time. Still in front. Richmond still second. Darrell Waltrip and Allison very much willing to let those leaders go away. Down the back straightaway another time. Waltrip trying to close. There's the 3rd place car, Benny Parsons. There is a new feature coming out for helmets next year, and Dick Berggren with Benny Parsons took a look at it.
Helmet that a significant number of the competitors will be using in today's Grand National race. It's an excellent crash helmet, but the design, in terms of its being able to cool a driver off at least, is about 30 years old. Cockpit temperatures on a hot day in a Grand National race will often reach as much as 140 degrees. Mighty hot on the head. Well, Bell Helmets has come up with something new, and this is what it is. In the back of the car, they'll mount this unit which contains some heat exchanger chips. And those chips will provide cool air through this tubing into the helmet itself. There's special ventilating foam inside that even will soak up perspiration from the driver, thus cooling him off considerably as the race runs on. We've got Benny Parsons here who's going to try one of these on for us. What's it feel like?
I don't have a lot of hair, so it really feels good. Because, as a matter of fact, during a hot race in the middle of the summertime, that's probably the hardest thing we have to do, is because your head gets so hot that and the helmet seems to shrink, your head seems to swell, and it feels like it's cutting the top of your head off. And this just might be the answer.
Well, Benny Parsons has power steering in his car, and now apparently he's going to have air conditioning too. Maybe they'll add another 5 or possibly 10 years to his driving career.
A look at something new in the world of motorsports. Prototype there. Well, here's a prototype right up front. Not too many others like this one. Number 27, Tim Richmond, is leading. Laps running down. Latest lap count shows that there are 13 laps to go to decide the Winston Western 500 and the national driving title for 1983. Back to the line, and he now has Richmond a 12-car length advantage over 2nd place, Darrell Waltrip. And then it is about 2.5 seconds back to 3rd place as Benny Parsons has fallen back just a little. And there you see the 4th place car moving up. That's number 9, Bill Elliott. Elliott snarling along up through. And as they told you earlier, we have 22 Allison in the pits. Bobby Allison has come into the pits with car 22. They're checking it over. They're rolling him back out. They topped the tank. Why 4, Cale?
They didn't do anything else. I didn't see them change tires or anything. I don't know what happened.
We'll try to get a report as to what that unscheduled stop was on number 22, Allison, as we wind down to the finish of this. Still 5th is Bonnet, 6th is Earnhardt, 7th Labonte, 8th McGriff. Allison back to 9th.
He's cutting it close. Waltrip is running Tim Richmond down now. He's gaining on him a little bit, and you know, if he could win, and
just something happened to Allison here. And here comes Here comes Waltrip moving back on this number 27. 27 is your leader. And right behind him comes the number 11 car. And let's go to Dave Despain to see if we can get a word here. David?
A couple of points to make, Ken. The Allison Pitts report that was just insurance. They think they have a continuing fuel problem. They're not sure what it is. They stopped, put some more fuel in the car just to be sure that they could go the distance and wouldn't get caught out on the racetrack out of fuel. They think they're in good shape. They think they'll go the whole distance. With 108 laps now going up on the board, there is enough time in this race at his present pace for Bill Elliott in car number 9 to catch the leaders. Let's go now to Jim Roller for a further report.
Gary Nelson conferring with some of the crew. Bobby Allison was just in a moment ago. Just a precautionary topping off.
No, our problems aren't over yet. We're losing fuel pressure. It looks like after about 12 or so laps, it starts losing pressure, and we're worried if it runs out up in the turn 6 or up in the S's area, it'd be stopped and have to get pushed in. So it's gonna be close, but we're gonna make it.
Gary Nelson feels that Bobby Allison can make it all the way now. They're closing in even closer.
It ain't over till it's over, Ken.
And fuel pressure problems, those are the things that are lethal to a race car. They can leave you sitting out there and watching the parade go by.
Well, especially a place like this, you could have problems coming by the start-finish line here, and no way in the world ever make it back.
No way. On a big bank track, you can coast all the way around and back to the pits. If you have trouble here, it's all over. Allison holding on. He's back in 9th. Can he stay there and win the championship? We'll know in a moment. In the Winston Western 500, as we are down toward the finish, number 27 has drawn away just a bit. Here he is, Tim Richmond from Darrell Waltrip. He now leads by about 15 car lengths. The problems for Bobby Allison continue. Fuel pressure pickup bothering him. It could leave him stranded and a hitchhiker here for the national championship just at the last moments of the race. Richmond still thundering through and getting through lap traffic. And now, closing up on him in turn 6 comes Darrell Waltrip.
And there's 10 laps to go, Ken, and a little bit of rain falling.
There is indeed. Rain again spattering down here at the start-finish line area. We could have a flag before it's over. They're trying to get it in. Rain has been building up for the 3rd time today. Rained heavily this morning. Came down a gusher. There is the leader, Tim Richmond. Right behind him comes Waltrip, the man involved in the duel for the championship with Bobby Allison. They are coming back to turn 9. Here they are. From 175 miles per hour to hard-braking, Junior Johnson still standing by, still looking on. He only has one instruction for his drivers, as I recall, Cale, and that was go to the front.
Absolutely. That's where Junior likes his cars to run. Win, lose, or draw. He wants them out front.
Watching his car come by the start-finish line in 2nd place. And here goes Waltrip up into turn number 1, trying to close on the leader, Tim Richmond. Situation remaining: Parsons 3rd, Elliott 4th, Bonnet 5th, Earnhardt 6th, Labonte 7th, McGriff 8th, and Allison, with a fuel pressure pickup problem, remains in 9th position. They took on fuel for insurance. Whoa, a little trouble as he tried to go around Jimmy Means. Well, he was cross-armed on that one, Cale.
Yes, he was. Darrell's going to give him a run for his money, though, because Tim had a pretty good lead on Darrell a while ago, and now Darrell's moved up right on his bumper, and he's going to be hard to beat.
The weather is of such a nature now that they have had to bring down the helicopter that gets us our pictures from that car number 27. They have brought it down. Tremendous build-up behind us, and they expect some serious problems. Ronnie Thomas is number 41, which has been in and out of the garage area on occasion today, being lapped. Here comes Waltrip. Waltrip closing up, going back for the lead another time. He is not giving up out here, Darrell. 27 stays in front, 11 in 2nd. They close it up in turn 9. Here comes Waltrip, inching his way along through 9. What a battle between these two. Richmond in front, Waltrip in 2nd. Laps are running away. We're down to about 8 to go as they cross the stripe that time. Here's Waltrip looking at 1st place. Richmond blocks his view. Over in the dirt, a little agricultural racing here by Tim Richmond up in front. Waltrip coming back. Last moments of the last race in the $10 million series for 1983. Coming to you live on Superstation WTBS. Ohio's Richmond and Darrell Waltrip of Franklin, Tennessee, locked in a war for first place at Riverside, California.
Don't count Benny Parsons out either, Ken. He's coming.
If these two get together, Benny Parsons is home.
Absolutely. Benny is really running them down. He's coming on strong.
Bobby Allison in that 9th position. He's won the championship if he can stay there. Gary Nelson looking a little perplexed as he smiled and said, well, we have a little problem here, but we think we can get through it.
Well, he knows that all he has to do is finish where he is now, so I think they played it smart. When Bobby saw that fuel pressure fluctuating a little bit, he came straight in, got fuel, and now here goes Waltrip in the lead.
Darrell Waltrip down the inside, and caution is coming out. They're wheel to wheel. They're racing back to the line. This could decide it. There is rain on the track. Waltrip was told to go for it. Here comes 27 back. They're racing out of the corner. They're sideways. Waltrip is sideways.
Benny Parsons is going to win the race.
Parsons is coming down. Number 55, Benny Parsons, is across the line to win it. If it stops here, they've just gone under caution. Waltrip and Richmond have taken each other out coming out of turn number 9. It's raining hard. I don't think they're going to get another lap in. Benny Parsons has come across as those two cars spun. He was about 20 car lengths back, and as those two looped it, here's Waltrip across the line. They are still running. We want to take a look at that one again. Car number 22, Allison. Here is 55, Parsons, waving as he comes by. You can see the rain on the camera. Let's look at it again, Cale. Here they came out of 9. Now 11 had just taken it. Richmond wants it back.
Yeah, Richmond got underneath Darrell, and it was raining hard down there, so I don't think either one of them had that much control. They just got into each other and both spun out, and that's the mud I was telling you about earlier in the show.
Well, there they are. They have both refired. Both 11 and 27 have come back on the track. Now checking the lap situation, we're down to 7 laps to go. The sprinkles are more than that. It's a pretty serious shower, and as they came out of the turn, you see Raymond Beadle there and the crew from the old Milwaukee team standing on pit road. What a dramatic turnaround this race has been, and Parsons, just as Cale called it, is right back there again. If the front two should come together, hello. And Parsons is looking at victory lane right now with a smile on his face. It is Neil Bonnet in 4th, Earnhardt's in 5th, Bobby Allison holding on. Let's see if they're going to run them down under caution to finish it. Well, talk about a race of strange circumstances. We've had it here today, Mr. Yarborough.
Well, it's been a real strange race all day. A lot of tire problems, a lot of punctured tires on the racetrack, and you know, it's I would hate to see it end like this under rain condition, but the championship is at stake, and I'm sure that Benny would like to see it end right now, but Bobby, I'm sure wouldn't mind seeing it, but I believe you could almost put out the fire and call the dogs. I believe this hunt's about over.
Second is Bill Elliott. Second now is Bill Elliott in the race, and I think we have another angle to watch that from, and you're absolutely right, Cale. That weather, the rain up there, you can see 27 just sliding out. And both of them look like figure skaters as they slide through turn number 9. Little pirouette here by these 3,700-pound monsters. And you can see Benny Parsons flashing by. And he came to the line with the number 55. And he now, under caution, is in the lead. And we may finish the race in that condition. In second spot is Bill Elliott. That'll be his 9th, second place in the last couple of years. He has a brand new sponsor. The Coors Brewery is going to take over for that car, and we understand they really have big plans for him. And he will still go into 84 looking for his first win if it ends the way it sits now. Richmond is in 3rd. Bonnet is in 4th. 5th is Earnhardt. It took Waltrip a little time to start. He's in 6th. Labonte is in 7th. You think it's time to get the boxing gloves out, Cale?
Well, I don't know. It may be.
There is Bobby Allison, and it looks like he's the champ. You don't want to call him till you see a checkered flag, but Allison must be happier at this point in the year in a race than he's been in 20 years.
Well, I'm sure he is. This will be the biggest day of Bobby Allison's life. He's tried for so long to win this Winston Cup championship, and now he's done it. And you know, even if it started back now, Ken, Bobby Allison still has the championship won. There's no way hardly he could lose it now.
Bobby Allison of Hueytown, Alabama, declared the 1983 Winston Cup champion. The pace car has the field in tow. There's not much of a chance they can get this race back under green. There he goes, the Dygard Racing Team, for which he races. The Gardner brothers have to be ecstatic about the performance at 113 laps of the race. Uh-oh, trouble in Buddy Arrington's car. He's dropped a wheel on car number 67, the Chrysler car. That looks to me like Buddy Arrington's. It is Buddy Arrington's car. Left front tire all torn up on the car. What a bad break for Arrington. Likeable guy from Martinsville, Virginia. They say they're going back racing, that they're going to take a lap and go back. One lap and they're going to race to the green. Next time out of turn number 6, and then they will race to the checkers, which are now 5 laps away.
Well, it's still not over, Ken. There's no telling.
There's your leader, Benny Parsons, 5 to go.
And Bill Elliott was gaining on the whole pack before the caution came out, and he just may pick up his first win.
I'm surprised that they're getting it back underway, but it's a delight to see it come down this way. They had rain on the track. They're going to go back one more time to green. There's Elliott in second. He may win that first race. It may happen yet. You'll see it live on WTBS if Elliott in number 9 wins for the first time. Pace car bringing the field up through 6. Bobby Allison, who's won some $4,200,000 in his racing career. But there's a lot more that money at stake, as Cale Yarborough will tell you. I always had the feeling, Cale, that you'd be out racing. There wasn't a ticket sold, wasn't a person in the grandstand, because you really get a kick out of this.
Well, there's no doubt about it. You know, racing is still a lot of fun. If the fun wasn't there, I would quit altogether. But even though I've cut back on my schedule and only run about half the circuit, the green is out now, and here we're going to see some kind of dash to the end.
I guess we are. They are back underway. This is it, the final laps of the Winston Western 500 down into turn number 9. Parsons is in front. There's Elliott in second. There you see Tim Richmond in third. Neil Bonnet up to fourth. Battle for the lead as they go down into the turn. In the inside, it's Elliott. On the outside is Parsons. Who's going to give? Parsons going back. Bill Elliott is in front. Can he stay there? Can he win the first race of his career? The Ford is in front. Whoa, a hard smack as Benny Parsons ran into the side of 27. Here they are still fighting as they come out of that turn number 1 area. Parsons back to second. Tim Richmond is in third. Neil Bonnet is in fourth. What a slugfest. What a way to end it. Bill Elliott drawing away now.
He is really running a good race now. I knew before the caution came out that Bill was real strong. He was gaining on everybody and running them down. Now he's showing his power.
And you see that yellow and blue car sliding, just skittering up toward the wall. That's the 15 of Dale Earnhardt. He is in 5th. Back in 6th is Darrell Waltrip.
And the rain's coming hard again, Ken.
Rain is coming hard again. Will there be a flag? That's the report. There is rain around the track. Here they are in the back straightaway. Bill Elliott in front, trying to hold on to it. Parsons is in second. Elliott pulling away. Now here comes that second place entourage of 5 automobiles going down into turn number 9. No sign of a flag yet. 55. Benny Parsons stays second. Here comes Richmond closing up on him. There's the leader, number 9, Bill Elliott.
Turn number 9 is wet.
And turn number 9 is wet. Very slippery, turn number 9. Here they come off the corner. Richmond right to the wall. One car in trouble. Neil Bonnet tagged it and came away. There's Bonnet coming by. And the rest of the field, there's Waltrip back in 6th. Caution is coming out. Caution is coming out. What a turnaround. Elliott in front. Yellow is on the racetrack.
But they can race all the way back to the flag.
That is correct. They will come all the way back around. 2.6 miles left and one more time through turn number 9. Bill Elliott stays in front. And with no tread on those tires, those slick tires, it is treacherous, mean going here. Bobby Allison has let them go race. He has the championship. His quest is over for Elliott, who has never won a race. It can happen here. You may be seeing it live today on Superstation WTBS. Long back straightaway. He's being cautious. It is raining. It's coming down pretty strong now. Here he is down that back stretch. Bill Elliott in number 9. Headed for turn number 9, which is very damp. He'll try to pull it through there.
This could be
Here's
worse.
the second place car. And third, Tim Richmond. And fourth, Neil Bonnet, trying to get it in there. Leaders coming around.
He's a half a mile away from $250,000.
And $250,000 may lie with car number 9, Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott coming down out of the corner. Here he is, down off the turn. Bill Elliott's number 9, and here's the battle as we watch those cars out back slithering out of the corner. Elliott's won it. Parsons is coming across in second, and at third it will be Neil Bonnet. Fourth is going to be Earnhardt. Fifth will be Richmond at the line as Richmond lost it in turn 9. We were sure there was going to be trouble, and we were watching that turn number 9 area to see if they were going to get through it. They're under caution. This race still has 2 laps to go. Under caution. Bill Elliott in front, waiting on the checkers to decide it.
It's all over now, Ken. The rain is really coming down hard.
Well, he's going to run out 2 laps, and Elliott has won $250,000. And it looked to us as if those cars back in second place were on a collision course with turn 9 in the final moments. Elliott had it secure and now has pulled off the first win of his career. Bill Elliott of Dawsonville, Georgia, in car number 9, has amazingly put a Ford in first place at Riverside, California.
How many times has he ever raced here? Not many, has he?
I don't believe more than 2 or 3.
He's done a tremendous job here today. He ran a good race all day long today, and as I said before, I saw him coming up through that pack, and he was really gaining on everybody, so it was just a matter of time for Bill Elliott before he won his first race, and I'm sure he's happy as Bobby is for winning the championship.
Well, his last time he was here was back in June, and I think he had only 1 previous performance here, so it's two races here, and now he's won. He started 12th, finished in 25th in 82, came back here in June. This is his 3rd time here. Bill Elliott in car number 9, coming around behind the pace car. It is raining. Savage rain is pelting the windows here at the start-finish line at the present time. Elliott will win it. Cale Yarborough, your opinion of this guy for the next several years? Many say that he's another absolute, unquestioned superstar.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Bill Elliott is a good race driver. He's a heady race driver, and with good equipment, he's going to be a winner. I'm surprised that it took him this long to become a winner.
The Huckleberry Finn of racing. White flag, 1 to go. We asked Bill Elliott if he thought it was a disadvantage to run his car, this number 9 Ford, on a road course.
No, I don't think so. I ran well here in June. I ended up finishing second behind Ricky Rudd. And I feel like probably in a way it's an advantage because you've got Darrell and Bobby running for the point, and I really need a win, and we're going to go all out to get a win here.
Going all out to get a win here. That's what he did. He ran down the field. Bill Elliott in car number 9 is on the last lap of a trek that has taken him through 3 years trying to win his first race. Close so many times, and now here he comes around for the final moments. As we look at the leaderboard, Bobby Allison is in 9th. When he comes across, the national championship will belong to Allison, and he'll be interviewed under an umbrella by Dave Despain at the STP Pit Center.
Well, we're finishing up under the rain the last few miles, and amazingly enough, Ken, there has been 11,871.8 miles running Winston Cup competition this year.
And that last mile for Elliott is heaven. Here he comes, number 9, Bill Elliott. And again, Elliott driving a Ford Thunderbird with new sponsorship next year, the car owned by Harry Melling from up in the Michigan area. They have to be ecstatic. Here's number 9, Elliott. There you see the Melling name on the back. Benny Parsons' car is in 2nd spot. Neil Bonnet is in 3rd. Yellow and checkers are about to be thrown. Dale Earnhardt is in 4th. Tim Richmond is in 5th. Waltrip is in 6th. Labonte 7th. McGriff 8th. Bobby Allison 9th. A dramatic finish to the 1983 season. And there is a very happy crew for Bobby Allison. They have finally done what they have tried to do for Bobby Allison before. and come up one position short at the end of the year. Not the case this year. There's the number 9, and here is Neil Bonnet up to congratulate him. Neil Bonnet, another one of the truly nice people in this game and one of the hard runners, the hard chargers. But this guy, who looks like he would be far more at home playing croquet, he's a gentle little guy, gets out here and just tears the dickens out of a race car, and today has won. 8 second places. And now, car number 9, Bill Elliott, is headed for his first victory. He fought for it. He won it under the strange circumstances today. The Bill Elliott crew coming down onto the track. His two brothers. His brother Ernie is standing almost directly across from me now. What a quest this has been for this team. A family effort. They rent one car when they come to the track, and that's it. They keep the whole crew in it. You'll see as many as 8. Gosh, I hope the officers didn't hear about that. Getting back and forth to the track. And usually it's an economy car. There's the crew, and there's the checkered flag coming out for Bill Elliott, who has just won his first race in his Winston Cup Grand National career. Benny Parsons comes home second. Neil Bonnet third. And there's Jim Gardner. You can see him in the dark jacket. He is ecstatic. They've done it. They have won the national championship. What a great moment for that team. Dygard Racing, originally out of Connecticut, now from North Carolina, has won the national championship. So close, so many times. And here is Bill Elliott, the winner of the Winston Western 500 for 1983. Here's the situation. The rain is coming down. We have ourselves an East Texas hog drowner out here at Riverside, California, just pouring down in turn number 9. But the day has never been brighter nor lighter for two people. Bill Elliott in this Ford, car number 9, which has just won the Winston Western 500, or for Bobby Allison, who is victorious with car number 22 for the National Driving Championship. Let's go to Dave Despain right now.
It's been an unusual day, Ken. It came to a rather shocking finish here as the rains have moved in and washed out the last couple of laps of this race. Let's not forget some of the other people who played such a role here. The incredible incident involving Richmond and Waltrip that took them out as they came racing down to an earlier yellow flag under a wet racetrack. But nothing takes the glory away from the two men who are champions here today. The champion of the race, Bill Elliott. The champion of the season is Bobby Allison.
Bobby Allison is now pulling back toward his pit. The rain is just pouring down. Here he is there with his crew. Some well-wishers standing by him. Jim Roller trying to get a word. Let's go to Jim Roller.
Bobby Allison, got to be the greatest day of your life. We made it. We made it. Dygard, Miller.
We're taking some real hits here as the weather continues to get worse. Let's go to Victory Lane.
And I'm at Victory Lane with Bill Elliott just coming out of his car. Bill, you've got to be awfully happy right now.
I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Everything you did all year that went so wrong, everything went so right today. I just can't believe it.
Tell us about the pass for the win.
Well, I knew I had one chance to do it, and I drove it down in there, and me and Benny got together, but I knew that was my only chance I had to do it. And when Tim Richmond come up on him and they got together, I knew I had a good shot at it, and I got a little distance on them then, and then the rains came, and I was praying for that.
Now, the very last lap, they threw the caution just after you passed the flag stand. You had so long to go under the yellow flag. What were your thoughts? What was going through your mind as you were headed back for the flag stand?
I just felt like I could make it, and I just kept on digging.
You're a pretty happy fella.
You better believe it.
Is the money more important, or is getting here to Victory Lane more important to you?
I think getting to Victory Lane.
A very happy Bill Elliott in his car in Victory Lane in the pouring rain.
Let's go to Dave Despain for just a moment. Dave Despain standing by at the STP Pit Center. There is Bobby Allison out of his car. That's his mother with him, his wife Judy, the family all here. A very happy Mom Allison standing by. And it is Bobby Allison. And there's the headline that he's won the race. Such a long quest and such a marvelous finish. And off to the Waldorf Astoria. And there is Bill Elliott out, $250,000 richer, that young man, with a performance, as you see, Ned Jarrett, a two-time Grand National champion, talking with him. And they're pouring a bit of the old brew over the top of Robert Vance Allison, the 1983 Winston Cup champion. That's the story here today. Rain delayed, but it's over in favor of car number 9, Bill Elliott, and number 22, the Dygaard Racing Team, and Bobby Allison. For Cale Yarborough, Jim Roller, Dave Despain, Dr. Dick Berggren, working with us today, Jerry Garrett, the 3-time champion Cale Yarborough. Thank you for being here, sir. I'm Ken Squire. As the rain continues to pour down on the happiest man there is today in the United States, Bobby Allison, the national champion.